Okay, welcome to the June 22nd planning board meeting. Dave Gasway, the chairman, is not going to be able to make it tonight, so I'll be the chairman tonight. We have, so there's two new committee members, Mark Sprague and Mike Gore, who were elected by the Board of Selectmen and Planning Board in a joint meeting in the last meeting. And I think we're ready to go. The first item is 48 Meadow Road. The applicant isn't present, and I don't think we have all the documentation, so should we, do we need a motion to pass on this, or just pass on it?
I don't, there's no need for a motion, it's not a hearing, so
Okay.
I think we can just say that we'll continue this business at the next.
Okay, so we'll continue 48 Meadow Road at the next planning board meeting?
Or if they show up, or...
Yeah, if they show up later,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll put them in. So,
Or this one was, yeah, no, okay.
so this is all to do with that?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, 48 Meadow shows?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Okay.
Yeah, anyway, okay, fine, you're here.
We're here. Okay. How about that?
I thought, yeah, she said that you were the second one, so, sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah.
I had to look.
Yeah, wait a minute. So what do we got?
All right, so this is 48 Meadow Road. It's basically a lot line modification between two existing lots. It's cleaning up an old, I guess, deed issue, as well as achieving, this neighbor is picking up parcel B here, which is a portion of Lot 4, in order to be, this is a common driveway that comes up and serves these homes.
So the only thing that's changing is this little section?
Yeah, this little section right here,
Yeah.
the only reason for it is this is where the driveway is, and they want to be able to bring the driveway into the new garage. Okay, so basically, they're picking up this acreage.
Mhm.
In the process of going through this, what they realized is there was an A&R plan that goes back to '98, where it was two different, actually, homeowners at the time. And parcel A is this small sliver of land here, was basically going from Lot 4 to Lot 2 in order to make sure that they could meet the offset of 51 feet. They didn't quite have it, so basically they just kind of said, oh, we'll give you a little bit of our land. Both of these are backland lots. This is 9.3 acres and 8.99.
Okay.
So when this was done back in '98, parcel A was supposed to go to 2 and become 2A. When the attorney drafted the deeds, they failed to grab parcel A. So that's why when these two neighbors now went to do what they're trying to achieve, which is really just to get this parcel for the garage, this issue came up because the actual previous owner of this house, Doug Hammond, still owned parcel A. So neither of them owned it. So they've done a corrective deed, which I have a copy if you want to see it, where basically this parcel A is now going to go to the new owner here, as well as parcel B is going to go to Lot 2, to create Lot 2A.
So is there any transfer of money for that, or is it just,
I think,
it's not a big deal?
yeah, I believe for this piece,
Yeah.
it's not to settle the old issue.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Frontages?
Frontage is the same,
Frontage isn't changing.
you know,
Yeah.
really it's larger than 4.5 acres, so there's no lot of regularity.
Yeah. So the driveway's coming from over here?
Yes, yeah. So really, it's just, this lot is
Yeah.
gonna have a little less acreage, which still is far exceeds the 4.5 acres.
Yeah. It's fine by me.
Given the reserve septic for lot 4 is
It's right here.
that the active or reserve?
Here.
Over here, it looks like, well, the original septic was down there, which would be impacted by
That's right.
the swap.
So what we're showing here is this is the septic that we just recently went and redesigned, and it's been installed.
Okay. Okay, so that is the active.
So this is the new septic right now.
Okay, so that's the active, and there's no additional reserve at the moment.
I don't believe so,
Okay.
but they're, yeah.
So these houses were built back in 98 or whatever, and this garage is what was just built?
Yes, yep. Yeah, and I think the existing road kind of came through there, so they want to be able to access to that.
And then what's going on with lot 3? I'm sorry, I might have missed that. You-
Nothing with lot 3. Nope, it's just really between these two.
Okay, so would this technically be the butter then, that should have the parcel and that information?
Yes.
It's a little confusing when I look at that, because I'm thinking that this is part of the.
No, you're right,
A&R.
yeah. He's got 3 owners, but I know one of them is the old owner, Hammond, that owned that piece. It's up to you, yeah, I mean, if we,
It's up to the board whether or not they would like to see that revision. The other thing.
So what are you saying, what needs to be revised?
The map of parcel number for lot 3 needs to be shown. Is that it?
Yeah, I would take that note right, I would take lot 3 right off, because it's a little bit confusing, it makes it sound
So
like
you're saying it should be
creating a lot.
off of here?
Yeah, this label here shouldn't say lot 3, it should have the owner's information on there.
It doesn't hurt anything.
Well, it's almost, it's implying that lot 3 is being changed, I guess is what you're saying.
I just know 5 years from now, when we look at this plan, it could be confusing.
excellent. I believe it is.
And since we updated our subdivision rules and regulations, we also require now a locus map on the plan. We talked about that
Okay.
back in the fall. Beyond the assessor sketch, something that can show the lot sort of in comparison to neighboring roads and that kind of thing.
Okay.
So, Mason. So we don't have a proper Mylar to sign then?
We do on this one, yeah. I mean, it's up to the board. I know those changes are really minor, but
So we could still approve it even with that? I mean, what do you suggest?
well, I would suggest making the changes, but it's up to the board.
And everybody needs to sign, so if we did a approval on contingency, you know, we would still have to come back the next meeting and sign
Yeah.
They
it.
would still have to sign it.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
So we'll hold off then?
If that's how the board feels, I mean,
Yeah. I mean, just going by the guidelines, so.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know what the time frame is on this either, so, but I assume,
okay.
it's hard for me to say, whether or not.
I mean, I'd be willing to do something contingent, but it doesn't sound like it's worthwhile anyway, because it's gonna come back, so.
And I also,
When's the next hearing?
we haven't said it yet.
Okay.
It'll be sometime in July, obviously.
Okay.
The other thing too, I don't think I received an electronic copy for this one.
Yeah, so, I'm just kind of covering for Stan.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, so.
I know these are all really small
Yeah.
points, but,
So we need the electronic copy, get rid of lot 3,
And
and
locus.
this, and the locus.
All right.
and actually one more thing. We also are requiring the GIS file now. Either a
Was
sheet
it
file or,
Was it
This-
GIS or was it,
it's GIS that we're
Okay.
requiring, because our assessor's information's in
Okay.
GIS. so-
Is there a bell, like, does Stan have, is there something that you're referring to change, or that's just on?
I can certainly send him an email if you want.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, we'll see you.
Yep. Yeah.
How we doing? Good to see you. How are you? Good. I saw you.
So next up is an A&R for Old Bay Road. Are you representing that?
Yes, I am.
All right.
John Farnsworth.
Welcome.
I'm here for the Carter family. And I've got a 200 scale assessor sketch there. But this is up on Old Bay Road. And in trying to root out the research here, I think what we're really doing is what had been done in 1986 with a small mod,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think Clyde's plan ever got recorded.
So do you have the overall picture of where this is?
Yes, right here. It's
So
between Wilder Road and Water.
Okay.
It'd be across from Goodman's
Okay.
driveway. And
I think she has maybe a better map.
you know, I try to go through the research fairly carefully. I went through the index of every plan on Old Bay Road and didn't find Clyde's plan. But this is a copy of it, and, you know, I'd leave that with you folks also. But what they'd like to do is create a single lot around the existing house. I think this is where the mom was. And-
So this is the land they currently own? What's the land?
Yes, this would be the whole footprint right here.
Okay.
And
And this is Old Bay Road and,
the Good Hughes house would be over here.
Yeah.
I think the Ela farm is down here, the open field.
okay, yeah.
And George Schott's piece would have been up over, sort of diagonally across the street up there. This would be separated into a separate lot. I think this is the building that Mackey occupies, his shop. The septic system and the well are both contained here. And this little piece right here would come out and go over to Stephen, one of the brothers, into a backland lot that he has already. I think that was created in the 80s too. But the challenge here was to try and make a bridge in the documentation so someone else could go back and figure out, you know, what had happened before. So I've dashed in, you know, what would be needed to tie it to this plan and the plans on record, and have been very careful to make the notations on here. Like this was Lot 3 in 1986. This is Lot 3, 2016 type thing. So there's a consistency in the paperwork. And I went through the lot shape stuff, and this would be the way this lot is going to be. So there's no confusion about it.
Can you just, I'm sorry, explain, so lot 2 would be all of this?
Would go from the back
Yep,
all the way up to the street.
okay,
It would be sort of a contiguous rectangle.
okay, and then lot 3 is all of this,
Would be all of that right there.
okay, that basic square, and then this parcel right here,
Would come up and adjoin to
to where? To this?
Stevens lot. And I made a
Okay.
note on there that, you know,
So you're transferring this to another owner's lot?
well, we're really making two transfers.
Yep.
The parcel onto the adjacent backland lot,
Okay.
and we're creating this,
Where's the frontage for this backland lot that you're talking about?
it's over here.
Okay.
But this is not a building lot, it's just going to be adjoining to it.
And why are you transferring it out?
Mrs. Kluter has made the journey, and it's in her estate. And,
This part of the land?
well, no.
Yeah.
Mrs. Kluter lived in the house here for a
Yep.
very long time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what they're gonna do with the house, but this is gonna go over to Malcolm, and that'll go over to Stephen, and then that'll remain on the...
So they're family members or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is being done for the trust.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is obviously an existing house. Is this an existing house over here as well?
This is an existing building. I'm told it's a barn. I'm not really sure what they're gonna do with it, but
So this is intended to be,
be one contiguous.
so it's a backland lot?
No, it has 200 feet of frontage.
So it's 157,
Yeah, and 53.
Plus 53. And there's a 53.
oh, at the bend here.
Yeah, and I put a box on here that shows each of the,
Okay.
that they meet the dimensional requirements.
So, I mean, is there any, this existing structure, I mean, when you're dividing this out, is that, you know, does that have any play in this, or?
I don't believe so.
Is it, it's like a barn, you said?
I think he uses it as a shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there an existing septic system for that barn, or does it all?
Bill Brookings told me there is, but it's not compliant. So they'd have to, you know, with the creation of that lot, they're gonna have to make that.
What is that, an outhouse?
That's right.
But it's not tied to anything in this?
No, all the utilities are separate.
Oh, okay.
And the offsets to the property line for that building, I mean, they have sufficient.
So this has power?
Yes, it does. There's a utility pole right there. I put the pole on there. And we're splitting it along the existing.
Where
this
the wall,
part.
where that stone wall is.
Yeah,
Oh, that's, okay, these are all stone walls.
yeah.
Just moving that parcel over with the, and onto Stevens parcel, make that splittable. Is that
Well,
push it?
it doesn't make it non-conforming. It's still above all the minimum requirements.
This is 2 acres then, roughly.
Yes,
1.92.
in fact, yeah.
1.5, right?
And it meets the shape.
It just needs to be 80,000, and he's got 83,000.
Okay. Yeah.
Where's your sheet factor?
Should be in here. It's greater than,
Yep.
Do you know what the plan for this is?
I think Malcolm's gonna live there.
So we gotta build a house somewhere in there?
I think he's gonna live in a shack.
Live in a shack?
Do we need to have, I guess since you're adding that parcel to Stevens' parcel, the information with regard to how that parcel is? I know you're just adding square footage, but am I not seeing it? Or is it?
Well, I
What's
don't,
the new total on this one? Does that need to be on here?
I guess that was a.
well, I don't think the total does, only that, you know, we're putting that, whatever it was, it's increasing it. This would be the information for this parcel over here.
So lot 2, so now this is gonna be, the total of this is 212?
Yep. And it meets the, it actually was very close to the shape factor, but it's over 4.5 acres, so it's exempt.
Oh, so it's not a backland lot.
No,
It doesn't quite meet the shape, but because it's over 4 acres,
yeah.
that sound legitimate?
I'm sorry, say that again?
It said it doesn't quite meet the shape requirement, but he said because it's over 4 acres.
Yeah, there's an exemption for lots.
Oh, yes, there is, yep.
4.5.
Yep.
Okay.
Have you checked, it's been a while since I've looked at Title V, but I know there's some restrictions on subdividing parcels and needing proof septic before you do. Has that work been done?
I don't think
Have you
it,
checked with the Board of Health to see what they're
Yes.
requiring?
yeah. He has testing that they found that
Okay.
seems to be okay. But it's really a non-issue for this.
Well,
Well, if they're gonna do a new septic system.
Well, if he's gonna live in the house, he's gotta have a septic system. He's gotta go through that process.
yeah,
So
yeah, but before we subdivide it and then they find out they can't put one in,
well, I guess
if there's testing that meets Title V, then
Yeah.
it meets the requirements, and that's,
I guess my perception would be that It wouldn't be any different than a open space lot that was created.
We have, I mean, I know people in town have gotten themselves into trouble by subdividing parcels and finding out that septic systems needed to be upgraded and that wasn't taken into account.
I mean, I guess ultimately,
And they've now boxed themselves
Because it's
into...
really hard ground over here.
Well, but they bought, because of how it's split off, they don't have space to put one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, ultimately, it's their problem.
Well, yeah, we don't want to, I mean, you know, right now, these are just lines on a piece of paper, so we can avoid issues, then...
So documentation wise, they have the locus. What else did we say we needed? We need an electronic copy.
If you have the Mylar, I have the electronic, the only thing I'm missing is the GIS file. We do require a GIS file.
Now, what is your perception of a GPS file?
Or a GIS file.
A GIS file?
It could be a shape file. And I know in AutoCAD, you can
Export it, I think you can
Export that
export it
out.
as a shape file.
Oh, okay, all right, I'll do that. I had the sketch here, and I sent you the electronic.
You did, yep.
All right. I was listening to you, talk to Brandon, and I have every conceivable detail on this. And it dawned on me that I forgot to stamp that copy. I sealed the Mylar and...
Oh, okay.
And I think the two that I left with you
Were they stamped?
were stamped.
Oh, that's fine, then.
Yeah.
We can have it right there. It was really the Mylar we were worried about, so.
In 1986, I did a 2x3 India ink on cloth and had the whole thing covered. Didn't make a mistake anywhere. And I got done. It took me a long time to do it. I'd spelled the word engineering with only one E, but said engineering. It ruined the whole thing. I did. I had to do the whole thing over again.
So everything's in order?
Yeah, the only thing, like Danielle said, he's not showing the entire parcel here, but like you said, he's only making it more conforming by adding that parcel, so.
And there was actually a record plan that Clyde had done that created that
Yeah,
back lot. And we reference it.
he referenced the plan on there.
How big does that make that?
That's
That
what I
other
just,
lot.
yeah.
Well, it'd be probably 4.5 acres plus 23,000 square feet. Yeah, his house is set quite a ways back, so it gives him quite a bit of additional space there.
Anything for this house, there's nothing back there that's associated with this house.
Septic system's up here,
Right.
and the well's
Well.
over there.
Well, right there. Sounds fine to me.
Yeah, we can approve it just contingent on receiving GIS.
Have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the A&R plan for Old Bay Road to subdivide Lot 2 and Lot 3. Is that all right?
Well, what is it?
Yeah, what's
Subject
the-
the existing 306 Old Bay to...
There he goes. Into Lot 2 and into Lot 3, and then transferring parcel 2016-A to Stephen Quadrier's parcel at 316 Old Bay Road.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is unanimous.
Oh, thank you very much.
So we have to sign now?
Now, if you use one of these,
No,
nice and dark, and
I think just for these.
do you want me to leave you with a copy of this?
So we gotta sign one. Now, you said, was there an issue? Do we need to sign one with a stamp instead of this one?
Yeah, I have that.
Well, I think you've got enough of the stamps on them.
Do we? Usually we
Yeah,
sign
these
this.
are three.
Three, yeah.
Three. Probably the one
So don't
These
sign
two
this
have,
one?
these two have seams.
You said there should be original plans?
No, they haven't found one.
Oh, for this one?
Yeah, but this is the 1986.
Okay.
That was not recorded, that you have, is that?
I don't think it ever was. Like I said, didn't find it, doesn't mean it wasn't recorded incorrectly, but, I think there's what's there, a 3-year statute on an A&R? So, but whatever it is, 1986.
Well beyond that.
Nobody else has to date it.
Now, this is the 30th year my office has been on the other side of the river, right over in Lancaster. We have never had a listed telephone number. We're at the end of the dead-end street, and I keep the sign behind the building. My brother actually worked for Larry Duchar, probably 12 years. And I went to high school with Larry. And my work partner is Frank Pavelka.
So are you a surveyor and engineer, or just
I
a
am
surveyor?
a surveyor.
Okay.
I'm a thesis short of a doctorate in engineering.
Oh, wow.
And Dr. Pavelka is still teaching at WPI. This is his 64th year.
This package is yours.
Well, thank you very much for getting us on and taking the time to see us. Appreciate it.
And then I will just, get an email from you for the CIM stuff.
Well, I'll bring it on a stick.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Have a good night. Good night.
Right on schedule. All right, so next up, we have town council here to have a informal discussion on the regulations on fast food, drive-throughs, and franchise uses in town.
Thanks for having me. Brian Clough from Irish O'Connell, Town Council. And so I understand the board had some questions just
Yeah.
in general about.
Yeah, so I guess just in a little history of this. At first, we had Global Partners in here, and they were talking about having a Dunkin' Donuts, and I know the board was saying, well, we're not sure how that works. Fast food is not allowed or whatever. I know that I talked outside of the meeting to Don Lowe, and he said that, oh, it's an ancillary or accessory use, so it would be allowed. Then in a subsequent, well, so that was put up in the paper or whatever, and the owner of the Hood's property, the Country Cupboard, and Michelle Tuck came and they were questioning, so it kind of, the story kind of made it seem like, oh, it's just allowed, whereas they were under the impression that an ancillary fast food use is not allowed. And actually, I mean, in my reading through the bylaws, you know, it seems that way too. So you have in the table of uses, it says fast food, no, across the board.
Yep.
It's not listed under accessories, the accessories in the table of uses were fast food, where I would expect it to be. And talking to Erica, and you actually didn't bring this up, I don't think, but in the definition, so I have the definition here.
Yep.
The definition of fast food, hidden in the middle, there's a sentence that says, let's see, where is it?
The foregoing,
Yeah, no.
line 5.
Yeah, the foregoing shall not apply if such sales are wholly incidental and ancillary to a conventional restaurant or other allowed principal use. So I guess it's just very vague. I know that the Hood's concern was that if they knew that Dunkin' Donuts would be allowed as an accessory ancillary use, they would have had one a long time ago. I was always under the impression that it wasn't allowed, so I guess it's just, we're just not sure in general what's in the bylaws, so that's
Sure.
why we asked you here, so you
Yeah.
can clarify it.
Right. And so as I read from that definition of fast food, you know, we have to give all the words in the bylaw meaning. If they make any sense, we have to give them meaning. So even though you might ideally want to find that in the section on accessory uses or somewhere in the use table,
Yeah.
nonetheless, that definition does carve out an option for an accessory use fast food sales operation, essentially. And so, and I had some back and forth with voicemail with the building inspector, and he's of the opinion, interpreting the definition of accessory use, which sort of broadly says anything that's ancillary, incidental to the primary use on a property, as long as it's less than 50% of the lot use, qualifies as an accessory use, as long as it's incidental to the primary use, customary and incidental to the primary use. And the definition of fast food also brings that into play. So his interpretation has been, so long as you have and bringing the definition, a restaurant or another permissible use, as long as there's a fast food, you can have fast food sales accessory to that restaurant or that principal use, so long as it falls below that 50% threshold that's in the accessory use interpretation.
So 50% square footage of 50% business?
The definition is 50% of the lot, as long as 50%, less than 50% of the lot.
The building is less than 50% of the lot.
I agree. It's not easy to make these all jive, but his interpretation has been that, for example, a store that has a counter that does some fast food sales, the principal use is the store. And because the fast food definition allows an ancillary use, accessory use of a fast food sales operation within that store, he would view that as allowed under the zoning, as an accessory use.
Okay, can you just clarify though, when you say by the percentages, I think I'm still unclear.
Sure,
about
I'll
that.
pull it up. There's a definition of accessory uses
Okay.
back in the definition section. It's a building or use customarily incidental to and located on the same lot with the principal building or use, except that if more than 50% of the lot area is occupied by such use, it shall no longer be considered accessory.
Can I ask a question there?
Sure.
So no
Can you,
building can
give your
be,
name?
oh, sorry, Michelle Tuckington
Yeah.
Architects on Sugar Road, Old Sugar Road. No building can be 50% of the lot.
Right.
No building can be 25% of the lot.
Yeah.
So that 50%, I think, is very deceiving. I mean, Dunkin' Donuts could be maxed out at, 20% of the lot and still considered accessory use. So the other sections of the bylaw seem to kind of cloud that.
So I think you can't build a standalone Dunkin's, but you can build a Cumberland Farms with Dunkin's attached to it, and that would be okay.
Yeah,
I think what you're...
that's what you're saying.
That's how the
So,
building inspector reads it, and I don't disagree with him. I think that's a reasonable interpretation of this bylaw as a whole. The definitions aren't perfect, just like every bylaw.
I know that wasn't the
in Massachusetts
intention of this bylaw.
Well,
I mean,
right.
right, the intention of this, so, I mean, I don't know all the history, but what I do know is, I think the intention was no fast food. Not that I'm for that or whatever, but I'm just trying to go with the bylaw and trying to understand, I don't think that anybody read this, when I read this sentence, I was thinking it as, so Slater's, for instance, has their sit-down restaurant and they have pizza takeout. I kind of considered it, you can allow pizza takeout, that's what I considered that, not a convenience store with a Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, when I read it, that's what I read, that a pizza shop can have takeout pizza. When I read that sentence.
And that was the intention of the bylaw. I was on the planning board after it was written, but before it was voted in, so I didn't help write it. And that was their intention. It was because classic pizza and Bolton House Pizza, needed to still function. I would also question the word ancillary, Because ancillary, as the definition, provides necessary support to a primary activity. So a Dunkin' Donuts is not ancillary to a convenience store. The convenience store, which is a permitted use, does not need Dunkin' Donuts function.
And I don't disagree with you. It's, you know, I'm presented with, as every zoning bylaw is in Massachusetts, an imperfect bylaw, and trying to work with the building inspector in terms of interpretations as he's made within this bylaw as to whether they're reasonable or not. In terms of an accessory use, no accessory use is ever required or imperative, but if implemented, whether they're allowed or not under the bylaw, that's the question that we have. And so his interpretation is that as long as the accessory use falls below a 50% threshold within a principal use, it's allowed, and he's applied that to the fast food definition. And the fast food definition, I don't disagree. I wasn't here at the time, and I understand that, you know, people's view in terms of what was intended when this was put on paper might not line up well here, but, you know, that definition does in fact carve out an accessory use option within that definition. You know, there are different ways to write that definition to, you know, avoid a situation that might not have been intended, where if the intent was to never have anything in town that would even come close to being fast food, you know, having that carve out in there, you open that opportunity.
So just to clarify that, though, when you say it appears that the accessory use would be allowed as long as it met the 50% threshold. When you talk about the 50% threshold, is it solely referencing with regard to the lot area? Or I guess my question is, I mean, like you said, you could, I mean, just to throw something out there, you could have a Dunkin' Donuts that's, you know, 3,000 square foot Dunkin' Donuts with maybe 1,000 foot others, something else that's, you know, you could almost have the Dunkin' Donuts be the primary thing and getting away with it by being less than 50% of the lot. So I was just trying to,
I mean, that 50% of, I mean, that means nothing to me because it's so unclear.
But you can't build a building that's 50% of the lot.
Right,
We have
exactly.
a lot coverage.
So is it 50% of what's there?
I
Is it
think
50% of the
So if
business?
you have a convenience store and then you build a big used car lot behind it, and that takes more than 50%,
But you can't
then
even
that would
build that.
become the primary.
Right,
That makes
you
no
can't
sense.
build that, right, so
Well,
if you,
I'm not disagreeing.
if you followed it through, you would get stuck with the lot coverage requirement. So you
Yeah.
can't build a building that's 50% of the lot.
Right.
I think the intention was probably less than 50% of the building or the use, or as I was reading it at first, I was thinking, well, Dunkin' Donuts could be in the convenience store if the amount of profit from Dunkin' Donuts was less than 50%
Yeah.
of the convenience store, I'm sorry. That's how I read it first, but then I agree with you with the lot size. I mean, you're reading it literally, and that's what you're supposed to do. How do we deal with the fact that, and we know we have one of the authors of that you helped write that bylaw. How do we deal with the fact that that wasn't the intent? No, you didn't. Doug Story and I were talking about this recently, and he was, I think he was the chair of the planning board.
Yeah, he was.
And that this, I don't want to speak, but this seems to be a loophole that was not intended.
I mean, I still read this, the foregoing shall not apply if such sales are wholly incidental and ancillary to the conventional restaurant or other allowed, I mean, that's like a pizza.
Or other allowed principal use.
Yeah.
That's the loophole.
That's the loophole,
Because the
yeah.
convenience store is another allowed principal use. So as long as the Dunkin' Donuts is less than 50% of the lot, the convenience store can be however
Yeah.
big, it doesn't
That's
matter.
So they
Right.
shouldn't.
That's what he's saying.
It sounds like they shouldn't put in or other allowed principal use, that's the, if they just left it foregoing shall not apply if such sales are wholly incidental and ancillary to a
Yes.
conventional restaurant. That's
Yes.
like takeout pizza.
Yes, or to
Well, you were there,
expand
so
on that.
what's the?
That, yes, that's like takeout pizza,
Yeah.
or if someone were to, if I were to open Michelle's Coffee Shop, 51% of my business needs to be sit-down coffee,
Right.
right? And not takeaway coffee. And then you could read the whole sentence above and below talking about the containers, the throwaway containers, and whether food is rapidly prepared or pre-prepared. You know, they got everything else right. But if if that's the loophole, if the other allowed principal use is that loophole, I think whatever happens with this, the next step should probably be to close that loophole, or to have some, some process of approval
Yeah.
there, because the intention was not to leave a gaping hole in the fast food bylaw.
Yeah. So,
I mean, that loophole effectively guts it.
You got it. Right. It just means it can't be, there has to be some seating, right?
Doesn't even really say that.
No, you're right, because something like Subway in a,
Yeah, I mean, if you
Convenience
take it, you could put Dunkin' Donuts in the gas station, you've got the little convenience store part of it there,
I could put
and
it,
you're all set.
you could put it in the library.
Put it
Like
in
you, almost. Right, it effectively cuts
Murphy
it.
Insurance and Donuts.
Yes, right,
I mean, if,
in the whole parking lot.
yeah, so like you're saying, if the bylaw didn't want to leave any opening, they should have never put that sentence in.
Yeah, and you weren't here then.
But I think we need to be careful about twisting it too far that, it means that nobody can build any kind, I mean.
Yeah, no, I know.
I mean, there's a bigger discussion about what we want here and how this fits in with the design review board and the village overlay and a lot of the mixed use stuff.
Although
But that's a whole separate,
the village
thing
overlay
beyond
is
what
more
we-
specific. Did you notice
Could we,
that?
could it just mark, you had something?
Yeah, Martha Remington, Main Street. It's been my understanding that Bolton has had a no fast food bylaw for decades, since Dave Wiley brought it up.
I mean, the
Well,
fast food bylaw we're
1990s.
looking at now is in 2012. so-
Right.
yeah.
Right.
And the other thing is,
There's
how is a
been no
convenience store,
drive-through.
the purpose of that development is gonna be to sell gas. So what's a convenience store have to do it? Well, in our society, you go to the gas station, you don't just get candy, cigarettes, and soda pop, you get a whole convenience store. And now, that's already ancillary to the fact that it's a gas station that wants another $40,000, 40,000 gallons of gasoline, but now you're gonna have the convenience store is ancillary to selling the gas, and now they want to have a fast food operation that's ancillary to the convenience store, that's ancillary to the gas station. We have had a no fast foods bylaw for a long time.
Well, and since 2012, I think we, like you said, we had no drive-through. I don't know that there was ever no fast food.
Well, I
on
mean,
the books.
Kentucky Fried Chicken,
Well, right, but
Right? I
but there
mean-
hasn't been actually a bylaw.
McDonald's.
We've been able to, the bylaws been able to fend off food because of the no drive-through section that was in, I don't know how long, in the table of uses for a long time. But I think that's what kept those other places away. So I wonder if you know the village overlay.
Yep.
Because I wonder if there's a hole here too. So under permitted uses, it lists a lot of permitted uses, including restaurants or other establishments serving food, and then there's a parentheses, it says, but excluding fast food restaurants, which is clear to me, except then it says, sends you to the definition of fast food restaurant. So would you agree that the same loophole is in the village overlay because they're both going back to that definition?
Reading the village overlay, it excludes fast food as a principal use, which is somewhat duplicative because fast food restaurants are prohibited everywhere as a principal use. But referring back to the definition of fast food being there does have a carve out for some sort of an accessory use within an allowed restaurant or an allowed other use, as you know.
And it actually, it lists it as not permitted in the permitted uses, and then it lists it as prohibited in the prohibited uses. So they're telling it twice, no fast food. But it sounds like because it goes back to the definition, that the loophole is still there.
Yeah, for a town with a lot of bylaws, it's very vague. I mean, the reason why we asked you here is because as a board, we don't want to be in the position of, doing all kinds of interpretation. We want to know what the town wants and what it doesn't want,
And as the chain would go, it is the building inspector who would get these questions first in terms of what's permitted or not. He makes the initial judgment call in terms of proposals. I know they end up coming to you if they're looking for a site plan approval or
Yes.
a permit, but he makes the initial call.
Right, so I actually had a couple questions along that line.
Yeah.
I mean, we can get back to this other stuff, but, so who determines accessory or not? You're saying it's the building inspector, should it not be the town? So in our special permit, currently, if, say, 626 Main wants to change a tenant or something, the town planner, I guess town planner and building inspector would determine, the way we word the special permit is it a substantial change? If it's one retail shop to another shop, or one restaurant to another, if it's not a substantial change, we don't want it to come back to us, just, and actually, and if they don't hear within, I think it's like 7 or 14 days, I forget the exact number, it's automatically approved.
Yeah.
But that's just in there for the town planner to be like, hold up, let's look at this, and if she thinks, or if the town planner and the inspector think that, it needs to be looked at, then we come back to the board for the permit granting authority. The fact that it's just the building inspector doesn't seem right to me.
Well, recall too that any restaurant appears to need a special permit anyway.
Right.
So they'll be coming through you.
Yeah, so if it doesn't there, the special permit for, I don't know what the special permit is for, currently the country covered or whatever. If they were to,
Pre-existing non-conforming, isn't it?
right, but if they were to say if they were to be like, hey, we have an open here, we're gonna add a Dunkin' Donuts, if they were to add it, would it open up this special permit and have to come back to us or not? I guess that's the question.
If it's ancillary to a permitted use, do they need to come to you at all?
Well, so I'm trying to ask, I don't know.
Not just a restaurant, because the
Well, if it's a
restaurant needs to.
modification of a use that's allowed by special permit. I mean, I hate to get into the hypotheticals with actual existing
Right.
special permits because it's
Right.
fraught with peril, but,
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, any restaurant needs to come through you, and it seems that most other types of uses that would
Yeah.
have this type of a feature potentially has to come through you at some point.
Does it-
New ones.
But
Does
the
it
country
convenience
covered
store
may be
need to?
different because they have the existing coffee and donuts, and they'd just be changing the vendor.
I mean, if you take that as existing, yeah.
I mean, well,
I mean, it's not a
all the time, so
standalone.
It is,
Well, but it's an ancillary
It
use,
is-
right?
it's
It's
an
the same,
ancillary, yeah.
that same loophole.
yeah. But I mean, see, even beyond that, they'd be just changing who they use, who the
Yeah.
vendors for their donuts and coffee.
It's not Green Mountain anymore,
It's, yeah, or yeah, whoever it is, and whoever they get the donuts from, would just be Dunkin's, for better or worse, yeah.
And that's something that bylaw doesn't address at all, which is ownership or franchises or what they call formula businesses.
I think maybe Michelle could speak for that better, but I think the point was they couldn't say no McDonald's, no Burger King, so they tried to do this like word game.
Well, no, there are specific bylaws called formula business bylaws that seek to impose additional regulations or even restrictions on businesses that are franchises or have multiple locations. I will say, whether those are permissible or not is a bit of an open question. In other states, some of those types of bylaws have been shot down as unconstitutional. Here,
I think that's what they were trying to get
That's
around.
why they didn't do it.
Yeah, that's why.
Here, that hasn't happened yet, but there was, just in December of this year, Town of Wellfleet's formula business bylaw was struck down by the land court. Since been appealed up, so it's sort of an open question right now, so whether that's going to survive.
Yeah, so that's what.
You don't have that, but that's just something to keep in mind.
That's why they didn't do it.
Right.
Yeah, but they didn't do it, but they tried to do it with other words, which didn't work.
It's just something to be mindful of. It's not so much the planning board's issue, but the town in general, is that this, whatever version that might end up being amended or the current iteration, it can't be enforced in such a way that takes ownership into account. If something is a fast food restaurant or something is an accessory use that has fast food features, it doesn't matter who owns it, it doesn't matter how many locations they might have. It's not something the town can enforce on that basis. It meets the definition or it doesn't. It doesn't matter whose sign is there.
Right. So fast food is defined by the first 3 or 4 sentences here.
Correct. Rapid preparation.
And who determines that? Building inspector? Currently?
That would, if for some reason someone's coming in to say, do I have a restaurant or do I have a fast food operation, I mean, he would make the initial call.
Should it not be the town planner, or is that typically how the state works?
I mean, the building inspector ultimately interprets the zoning bylaw.
We only have a part-time building inspector here in Bolton.
All I'm just saying is the building inspector, I guess, I don't know, you know, I don't know all the open meeting laws and all. The building inspector kind of works for the administrator, whereas these planning and what fits the uses and stuff is kind of planning. So it doesn't make sense that that decision would be made by the building inspector.
But under the zoning act, he's the one who makes zoning determinations that can then be appealed up to the Board of Appeals.
Okay.
Which is the process of how that goes.
Can that be changed?
No, you'd have to amend the zoning act, the
The,
state zoning act.
no, we're not gonna do that. Can
But
it
typically
be,
how, sorry.
can it be requested that he sends that type of thing to the planning board?
But what I was just gonna say is typically though, the way that it works now is that when Mike makes that type of determination, we always consult each other on it. It's not like he's doing it in the dark. I mean, it's a very open conversation,
Yeah.
so.
And if he had a question, he could pass it on to the
Of
planning.
course, yeah.
And if the final decision might come through him, but there would be some dialogue
Of
ahead of
course.
time
Yeah.
to go back and forth.
Yeah.
That's typically what happens in a lot of other towns.
Okay.
I mean, basically, it's building inspector and zoning officer. And if there's any question or any gray area, that's when they usually say, you gotta go talk to the board. Especially with, like you were saying before, it still requires site plan approval. So
Yeah.
ultimately, you gotta go there anyway.
It's just weird to me that it's a paid employee and not somebody who's elected or appointed by the town government. Just, that's my only thought.
But if someone disagrees with his determination, they have the opportunity to appeal to the Board of Appeals,
Makes
who
sense.
can overturn his decision.
Okay.
And it keeps going.
And I'm not sure you find a volunteer who has the expertise he does.
Right.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
whole way through. So-
I'm not talking about expert, no, I'm just speaking in general terms right now.
Mhm.
So, this is all very confusing.
Well, I guess just,
I don't know what we're,
So I think what we're hearing is, the short answer is that they can do it.
as it's written right now,
Uh-huh.
they can,
Right, before, right, as it's written right
right
now.
now.
And she can do it.
so speaking hypotheticals, if Country Cupboard wanted to put in a Dunkin' Donuts counter and it was 50% less than something,
The lot.
the lot, I don't know,
Well,
something.
the lot,
Keep in
the
mind,
square
too,
footage of the store, the, I mean, you know.
Yeah, then it would go to the building inspector and he would be like, yeah, it's less than 50% of something and it's ancillary. Be approved.
So even so, if it's not the same building, if those two lots were combined, it could even go on an abutment.
Well, so that's the case, so,
Wait, explain that to me?
So
Oh,
you're
we're
talking about-
complicating things. Right, let's finish the hypothetical
Yeah,
about
finish one
Dunkin'
hypothetical, then we'll go
and
to- yeah.
Country Cupboard.
yeah.
And then let's complicate.
So in general, I'm not speaking for the entire board on this, but my opinion is that if there is a Dunkin' Donuts counter within a building, that there's some wood classy sign and, you know, I'm not sure that I have a problem. I don't feel like that diminishes, you know, the town. I mean, so we have the design review board and we have special permit, you know, so, I don't know. I know,
The selectmen would have to approve the signing, or any sign changes or
Yeah.
anything. So,
but I just want to make sure that, you know, we understand what's in here and that we act appropriately to what's in here.
I guess the one concern I have, and the clarification I'm still trying to understand, is this whole 50%.
Yep.
And just saying, you know, taking into any possibility that could happen. So someone comes in, and I'm just thinking of someone, if they wanted to try to almost make Dunkin' Donuts the primary use, but not really, it sounds like,
Well, it's 50% less than my 2-acre lot.
This must have been written as like an orchard or something that intended
Yeah.
an outdoor use.
No, I seriously think it was just an error. I think they probably meant half of the use
Yeah.
and not
Okay.
half of the lot.
Okay,
You
so
can't
It's,
build
but it
on
says
half
half
of
of
the
the
so
lot.
lot.
accessory
area.
building.
Right, yeah,
yeah,
it's
same
fine.
as-
well, because I mean, yeah, it doesn't say accessory building or use. So if you
It
were to
makes
use
sense.
it as 50% of the lot or 50% of the use, depending on how you're using it, then I guess I would feel more comfortable. So if you're saying it's 50% of the use, you've got your,
I mean, it's so vague.
Primary use.
It's so vague, I think we can interpret it as that and be okay with that.
and that's,
I guess.
That's how the building inspector has read it, and I don't disagree that it's a reasonable way to read that
Okay,
provision.
so if you just take 50% of the use, that's a reasonable assumption, so that's gonna be
And that's how
less
that's how he's
Okay.
treating it, and that's how I, in talking to him, I agree.
than, okay.
That's a reasonable way to read that.
The use there being the square footage of the store.
Yes, I mean, I was,
Not the
Yeah.
revenue or
Business.
profit or.
That's where I was
no,
going.
I mean, you could look at one or the other,
I mean,
it seems like it's
I guess that was
open
more
up
the
to
question than
interpretation.
which, what use are
Yeah.
they, are they looking
And I
at the
think
square footage?
I would read it as a square footage rather than a sales, but, you gotta keep in mind too, depending on what your goals are, think about other businesses and how that might affect other businesses that, the bylaw wasn't intending to restrict or regulate.
And I would think the bylaw would be more geared towards square footage, you're not gonna bring in financials
So-
into it, is
yeah.
how I would interpret it.
So I mean, this still prevents like a standalone kind of Dunkin' Donuts.
Yes.
And even in the hypothetical of your new building where you have two, I would think that they're separate entities,
They're separate primary.
the separate primary uses, so you couldn't have one of them being a Dunkin' Donuts because then that would be 100%.
Right.
It says a building. I don't know how that could not be a separate building. As long as it's less than 50% of the lot.
Well, I mean, but now we're saying use, I don't know.
Right, because it's not clear. I think this needs to be clear. Is it possible to clarify this?
I think only with getting new wording and getting town meeting to approve.
But from now until then, we're open to
Right.
just working through it.
You're right about that, but if, now I'm switching back to Global, if Global's coming to town meeting to talk about the tanks, can a clarification on this happen on the docket before Global's vote about the tanks to get this written, or whatever anybody decides is appropriate, but to get that loophole filled?
Yeah, well, I think so, before they ever came to town meeting, they were planning to work with the board and, work on it, so I'm sure that that would come up, so, if it did look like they were gonna do a Dunkin' Donuts and we feel like we needed the wording, that, you're probably right, we'd probably be able to get it on in the same vicinity or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, excuse me, I just had another comment. Maybe I was interpreting, and the town was interpreting fast foods as having to have a drive-in window,
Right,
Yeah.
which I
exactly.
know were discouraged in town for decades.
Yes,
Well, that's still discouraged.
I think
That's,
they're not.
Right.
I mean,
So that's what
Restaurants
I'm
can't have a
thinking.
drive-through.
yes,
It
yes.
can't be a drive-through.
right, but, so what I think is, just that fact alone kept McDonald's and Burger King's of
Yes.
the world away.
Right.
Right.
But there are some gas stations that will have a non-sit-down fast food, like a Honeydew over in Wayland on Route 20. It's a very tiny area for the
Yep.
food you go walk in and
Yep.
take out. It's not
Right.
through a window.
Yeah, I mean, reading of them is, as long as there's no drive-through, then, it sounds like it'd be okay. But the drive-through was to prevent like the typical McDonald's that you think of.
Well, all the litter and everything and the exhaust going when the cars are running and all that.
Yeah.
So most of the
Well,
litter ends
detriment.
up in the next town over, so we actually brought them here to keep the litter elsewhere. I have enough McDonald's bags that end up on the side in front of my house that.
Great, by the time they finish eating, they'll be out of both things.
Exactly, yeah.
They'll be out of the car, the litter will be on the corner before they're out of the store.
Can we go back to Brandon's question?
I don't remember a
Yes.
question.
Can you finish?
Now, you're trying to derail or redirect the hypothetical.
Yes.
No, I'm just, yeah,
Or-
because that could come up, because I just know at several times during the hearing, we went over whether it was going to be common ownership, or separate entities, and this is something that could come into play.
So what was
As
the
we
question?
evaluate that.
I think I missed it. What was the question?
So he's
This is-
saying
this is on
they
the-
both own, so they're gonna own the Country Covered. I'm sorry, I don't wanna bring back to your business. So say an owner owns one building and then another building right next to it. Do you include the entirety? So that if this other building that's 50% is like the same size as this one, can you have it in this building? I would interpret it as no, because it's
If
separate.
there's
If
separate
they're separate
lots.
lots,
If they're
yeah,
separate
Separate lots, that's
Yeah.
They need,
Yeah.
you need to look at it per lot, because that lot can
Yeah.
always be sold.
Yeah,
Um,
So if they're the same lot, it's
But that's what
okay.
I'm saying, if you combine the lots.
Oh, if you combine the lots and when.
But you can't, well, if you combine lots, you can't have two structures unless you do
Yeah, because now you're.
overlay.
Or go in front of the
You,
ZBA.
yeah, you'd have to combine the lots, make it conforming,
Yeah.
and then be able to do it, but you wouldn't be able to do it unless it was conforming.
Right, so we would have to go in front of the ZBA for a variance to have a second building on the same lot, I think would be our straightest
Yeah.
path.
You also, if you have separate units, you're gonna have a hard time arguing that one is incidental ancillary to the other.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
a wall and separate doors between them.
I almost think like, so I think the ZBA, like, same thing with the tank discussion, I would hope, being a non-elected board, that they're hesitant to make major decisions that impact the town. So for instance, the tank, I think they have the feeling that if they just approve the 20 to 60, because they were asked to, they were asked to approve the tank increase, but I believe that I don't know if they officially said no or whatever, but I think that they said, we're not gonna do this. I could be wrong. Is that?
Well, in order to make that change, that would require a bylaw change.
Right, but they were asking for a zoning, they were gonna ask, Global Partners were gonna ask ZBA for
We don't
a
know,
zoning
our bylaws
variance.
do not allow for a use variance. That would be considered a use
The
variance.
20,000 to 60,000?
Yes, that's a use variance.
Okay, well, they were asking, yeah, so they were trying to ask for that as a variance.
I mean, once it went to town meeting in the town.
Yeah, the town could vote on it, sure.
Right. Then it would be.
But I think they were trying to get a variance for it. Or they would have liked to have gotten a variance, but I think the ZBA said no. I could be wrong.
Because they couldn't issue it,
Yeah.
technically.
How's that a use variance? I don't understand.
Because the main use is the gas.
Yeah.
I think it's listed in that table.
Okay. Of what can be varied?
Yeah, and what happens if you want something that's not in the table.
Yeah. So I don't know if that two building situation is in the table or not, but I can't imagine it would be. So, the takeaway is, as of today,
Get it done quick.
Yeah.
the takeaway is, as of today, it appears that Dunkin' Donuts or some fast food some business as, that would be called fast food, as long as it's 50% less of the use, seems like it, would be allowed. That would open up the special permit, potentially, I don't know.
Well, that was my question,
Yeah.
if it's existing.
Yeah. Well, so they have a coffee counter, but it's not, I don't know. So, I hate to bring up other businesses, but Bolton Orchard's putting franchise coffee counter in there. That Pete's Coffee Bar is,
Okay.
it's not Bolton
how-
Orchard's, it's some other entity.
Red Barn?
Red Barn.
Red Barn, yeah.
Did they do that through a special permit, or were they allowed to
I think it just happened.
just happen?
Farm stand.
But here again, they're pre-existing non-conforming.
Well, so my question is,
Right, but
You
when
guys,
they-
I don't even know,
when they
does
add
Country Cover, that building, does it have a special permit? I don't even know. It's been around for a while, so.
Yes, we got a special permit 30 years ago.
Right.
Because they're pre-existing non-conforming.
Yeah. I haven't
So
seen it,
so
I
the
don't
question is if they make the change to something that, do they have to
To
come in front of
create a-
this, or
would they
can they
have-
just?
But
or
it
do they
goes
get
back
the
to
sign
you
Yeah.
approval?
for a change of vendor.
What's that?
It goes to you?
It goes back to your definition. If we own the convenience store, Country Covered, and if we were to opt for a Dunkin' Donuts because of afraid it going somewhere else in the town, would we be able to do that without opening up a special permit? Because we sell coffee, we sell donuts, we sell all those things.
I'd have to look at the specifics, I don't like to make a determination on the fly, but, it would get back to whether it was an accessory, whether it met that definition of accessory use for the fast
Well,
food.
it definitely fits the accessory use for land square footage. It definitely would fit it for store square footage, and it would definitely meet it for volume.
So the question is just whether you need to come back in front of us, or whether it can just be.
Or whether she only goes to the selectmen for a sign.
That's what I mean, yeah, that's the question.
So, well, the building inspector, the building inspector would have to.
Yeah, you'd have to go out to the.
So you have to
the
start
building
there, and
inspector.
then he might kick it to us, he might say, based on that, it's accessory use and it's all set. It may, you may have to hit the Board of Health.
Right, all the normal stuff.
Yeah.
So do we know what Golden Orchards did for Gerardo's? Because that's probably a more
True.
appropriate use
Been there for a
case.
long time.
It just came in.
The Gerard, I mean, because
I know.
the coffee
Did
bar,
anything-
the coffee bar is their own business. That's their
Oh.
own cash register, their own
Okay,
employees
true.
working at. Gerardo's is actually an external business.
Yeah, true.
In that same
They're not
shop.
franchised. I don't know if you consider them fast
No,
food.
but we don't have franchise as wording
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I mean, so are they considered fast food?
Is a franchise.
But is that considered?
That's just the
It's
coffee
not
that they're
fast
selling though.
Oh, it's
But
just the
still-
coffee, so they license the coffee or something?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the coffee they buy and they sell it, but it's their own Bolton Orchards employees that are.
That's true, because when you pay, they give you a little slip and you go to the counter.
It's Bolton Orchards.
And Gerardo's is.
So it would be
bakery,
similar to,
so
it's similar to yours
Yeah.
selling whatever you sell, Green Mountain, I don't know what you sell, but.
You mean with coffee? No. Special blend.
I would think, yeah, the coffee
Yeah, 'cause
bar
it's still,
is
yeah,
similar to
yeah,
that
yeah.
model, whereas you are right, that Gerardo's is, it would, I mean, that's almost exactly like having a Dunkin' Donuts.
So the question would be, did Bolton Orchards have to do anything to bring Gerardo's in there?
Not that I know of.
Not that I know of. I would have to look into it.
They've been there for 3 years?
How long have you been?
Maybe more.
Yeah.
Too.
4 or 5,
Huh?
Yeah, more like 5 years.
maybe
Has that been there that long?
maybe 4 or 5. yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the story of them coming in, but
Is that something that Eric?
I'll research that, yeah.
I mean, it kind of sounds like, I don't even know if you have to submit anything. I don't know. It kind of sounds like,
Start with the building inspector.
But the
start
way,
just,
excuse me, but the way it reads right now, if you go by the lot coverage definition, anybody could really do that.
Anyone in town, because nobody's covering 50%.
As long as it's an ancillary use.
But I think.
No, as long as it's less than 50% of the lot.
No, I think.
I think we were saying that was vague
Yeah.
enough that
Okay,
As a-
then you
as a
would
board,
interpret it.
we're gonna
Yeah.
interpret it as
I-
50% of
The use.
Square
Oh,
the square
of the
footage
square
structure.
Of the
Yeah.
square,
Wait.
yes.
Which I would argue is probably not the right way to interpret it,
It's probably the
because
business.
they will bring, a Dunkin' Donuts and a convenience store would bring in more than 50%, potentially. of the business.
Well, then at what point do we request, we have to request their
But-
books?
but
and-
then-
Yeah,
then
I
you
mean,
get
I
the
wouldn't
ownership
look at,
thing, and
I
I
wouldn't
think
look
that's
at
a little bit
books. I'd look
of
more at the
what-
square footage of
Yeah.
the,
I go back to the word ancillary or accessory. Both of those suggest secondary.
Yeah. I mean, like we said, starting this conversation off, I took it as you can have takeout pizza at a restaurant. I mean, that's how I took it, but that's not how council's taking it, and
The way I would be a little concerned with tying anything to a financial number, and the reason is getting back to your point of, you're talking about ownerships now, and one franchise could do better than a different franchise, and now you're trying to tie it to a certain owner, and I would not want to do that. I feel more comfortable with interpreting this with regard to square footage, lot size, keeping it with regard to
Okay.
those.
So-
lot size or building.
Yes, yes, or building size.
So to add on to that, I would recommend that the revision take a number that's less than 50%. Because something that's secondary should be 25%.
Well,
You know,
again,
or like,
But if
oh,
it were-
like, make it,
But if it were an orchard or something outside where you're really talking about a bigger part of the parcel.
Yeah, I think you can look at it
That's
both.
why-
You could either do 50% of the lot, like you're referring to, or 50% of the use, whichever one seems more applicable.
yeah.
right, and maybe that 50% needs to be lowered because it's not secondary if it's half.
Still, I mean, Dunkin' Donuts could be 20%, but it could be more of the business. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, just add one more point, as regards the Hoods, their original lot with the convenience store and the Subway, that's the pre-existing lot. The newer property where the Smiths lived, where their new 2-unit building is going to be, that is not pre-existing. None.
Well, they already have a special permit
So-
for that, yeah.
True, but they can put anybody in the 2 units there, 2 offices or an office and a food or whatever. So I don't know what they were considering for the Dunkin' Donuts as to whether it would still be in the main convenience store area or if it's going to be in the...
I mean, my take on it is it would have to be in the convenience store because I would take each one of those units as like a separate entity. I would think.
No, I don't know if you can. I think you've got to take it for the whole building.
No, but,
You've gotta-
no, I don't think it is the whole building. I think because they're gonna be divided up. If that building was one building, then fine, you know?
So they could take the entire country covered, convert it into
Dunkin' Donuts.
into a McDonald's, because it's less than 50% of the entire square footage of the building?
Yes, they could.
Well,
No, it
by
has to
that-
be
by- no, by
ancillary.
that-
Just saying,
Ancillary is some.
Well, ancillary to what then, if
To
you're
the
considering the
convenience
entire
store.
building?
A restaurant or another permitted use,
Okay.
that sales
Right.
operation would be ancillary.
So each one of those units is a permitted use, that's what I take it as.
Yes.
At least that's how the special permit is worded right now.
Yes.
There's two separate uses.
So she could put a new convenience store in one of the two halves of the new building and put Dunkin' Donuts inside of that. And
Potentially.
Dunkin'
Yes.
Donuts
Yeah.
would take up
Yeah.
50% of the
Yeah.
space.
That
I
would
mean, that's
still
what
have
you
to
do.
go through pre-existing non-conforming though.
No, not in the
No,
new
not in the
building.
new
No,
because that's a
I'm saying if
permitted
you
use.
put the Dunkin' Donuts in the existing building, they'd have to have a special permit to take the convenience store and the Subway out and put in the.
No, you're not
Donuts.
necessarily taking them out, I think we're.
No, convenience store has to stay with Dunkin'
Yeah,
Donuts wherever
because
it
it's the
is. On any lot, in any scenario,
it
because
has
we
to be-
need a permitted primary
permanent
use.
use, yeah.
Yeah, well.
Because the fast food isn't
pre-existing,
permitted.
It's totally, pre-existing is separate from anything.
Right, but I think you're putting in a new use within the pre-existing, so I would say that the pre-existing non-conforming is permitted just because it's pre-existing non-conforming. And then you could put the ancillary in there, because,
Right, in
Yeah.
either
With a
location.
special permit. What did you do when you
That's
got
the
the
question.
Subway?
That's the bill for the
That's
building
the question.
inspection.
That's what we need.
any of
It hadn't been written yet. The fast food
Well,
bylaw
you
was
were
written.
pre-existing when you got half, you know, third of the store was a Subway.
No, 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 the fast food bylaw was written after the Subway went up, right after.
quite the nonsense.
Yeah.
Right, that's fine, but I just, no, so we can't even consider that.
Right.
That should have been like a
It is
special
never,
permit because
the
it was.
We've
Subway
interpreted
is
it.
existing
Town council has
non-conforming,
interpreted
and that
it.
can stay with is.
Well, it's okay.
Correct, correct.
All right, so yeah, so we've discussed this, we've gone in loops. So the takeaway, wrapping it up, is, I mean, so do they have to come? So we'll go to the building inspector. So, I mean, if some business were to put a less than 50%, you know, other business as an accessory use, and as long as the building inspector, maybe the town planner, deem it as an accessory, then it seems like a
Accessory to
deal.
a permitted use.
Accessory to a permanent use or accessory to a pre-existing non-conforming, sounds like it would be allowed.
The only question that's not been answered tonight is whether you have to come in front of us to revise the
Right.
special permit. And I think we just need to vet that out. And I don't think we have that answer tonight.
No.
Right?
Part of that may just be the building inspector would have to say
Yes.
it-
Yeah, so I think,
it
yeah.
fits within the existing special permit or it doesn't. And
So now, 626 Main was pre-existing non-conforming, and he came before us to get on board with the special permit, so if he wanted to sell later, you know, there was no question on, because I think pre-existing non-conforming, tell me if this is true, goes with the owner, not the land. Am I wrong?
Oh.
We talked about with several.
No, it goes with the,
The land.
Okay.
But they wanted it to go with the,
Right, he has special wording.
Yeah.
yeah.
He has,
We went through all the
he has
uses.
funky special wording there, and I
Yeah, yeah.
think it's opposite for him, and I
Yes,
also think he
yeah.
has the word franchise listed in
Right.
his list.
Yeah.
But that is not, we do not have
Yeah.
that in our approval for
Yeah.
the special permit.
So pre-existing non-conforming stays with the land, oh, as long as the use stays. If it
Yes.
goes away for 2 years, then it falls back,
Yes.
or the land conforms.
or they change,
Or the land
yeah, yeah.
So,
So I think that's it. I don't know, is there anything we didn't say or anything we need to say?
Would it be permitted to have two Dunkin' Donuts, one at the new gas station and one at the existing convenience store? Because that's going to generate a lot more traffic at the country covered.
If
Would it
it's,
be, what do you say it again? Can they be two Dunkin' Donuts? I mean,
They
Yeah.
probably
If it's
franchise.
a-
It's
Yeah.
20, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's more the.
I don't think there's any rules
Dunkin'
against it.
not-
is that Honeydew and a Dunkin'?
Yeah.
right,
I mean, as long as it's an accessory use to a permitted use, that is less than that 50% threshold, then it sounds like, yes, they could be allowed.
so, I mean, so if the town didn't like this or whatever, it sounds, you know, like we could get rid of or amend that sentence. But that's not until, that can be.
That has to go through town meeting.
Yeah, it have to go through a town meeting, so
As,
it's Wild West.
And if they applied officially before it went in, it wouldn't be applicable to them anyway, because
Great, it's grandfathered.
So as the chair of the design review board, I'd like to offer any help in closing that loophole for the next town meeting, if there's anything I can help you with.
And I'm on that committee too, so I can help too.
I know it's not really a one-to-one, but I'd love to help.
I mean, I don't know if you want to discuss that here in this discussion, but, I mean, do you have an intent at the end of this?
An intent for what we plan on doing?
Yeah, you don't have to discuss it.
Oh, no, that's not the problem. We came and we put everything on the table last time we were
Right, yeah.
here because we just wanted to know. Again, I feel like the oil company will try to do a Dunkin' Donuts or something.
Yeah.
So I feel like we have no choice but to apply first.
Yeah,
And so.
for the sake of your business. Yeah.
For the country cover, we have no intention of putting it in that other building, and we have no intention of combining the lots. So that's what we would try to work
Yeah,
that in.
yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I know this has been now 2 hours, an hour tonight, an hour last
Yeah.
night.
Well, like I said, I mean, we have a lot of bylaws and many of them are vague, and I don't know if it was on purpose or just not done right, or...
You're welcome to call
Some
them
of
Well, I
sorry,
think-
it's not.
I think, when things are written, there's always the intent behind it, and it's not till after they get applied and
It's not
certain
lawyered
things
up, yeah.
comes up and certain circumstances happen where you start to say, oh, this could be applicable for this. I mean, you can't think of every scenario when you write
Yeah.
bylaws.
In general,
So,
you know, I'm not speaking for the board, but I feel like a Dunkin' Donuts hidden within a building with a respectful sign, no drive-through, I personally don't really see a huge problem with it. The major problem what people worried about was traffic and
Garbage.
garbage.
I think what scares me is that there may not be control. And however the rewrite is, it needs to be rewritten so that anything like that comes here.
There's a lot of.
I mean, so that's what I was saying, I really feel like I'm uncomfortable with it just going to the buildings inspector. I like what we currently have with like so the way 626 Main works, let's just use it as an example. Like I just said, if they have a substantial change determined by the town planner, it comes to the planning board and then we talk about it and figure it out and see if we need to amend the special permit or we know it's not approved in the special permit. So there's that level of control. With this case, where it's pre-existing non-conforming, they don't have a special permit, it's very gray to me, like, how we fit in or...
Oh, and you may not
Yeah.
in this scenario.
I mean, and I would like to fit in to that decision.
Because there should be a pile of people here saying yes or no.
I agree,
And
I
if
agree.
this all happens without a board overseeing that,
Yeah.
the town doesn't get to
Right.
say. And if anybody who was here when the fast food bylaw was voted in,
Yeah.
it was voted in with a lot of gusto.
Right, clearly,
A lot of hands
right.
up,
The
right?
clear intent was no fast food. And in that, understanding that intent, I read that as how I stated, so, but I don't know.
Just as a closing thing, you sparked something. The one thing I would say is we're trying to figure out whether the change of just selling, coffee to bringing an outside, franchise in, and whether it should come before planning board with regard to Verizon special permit. I would almost think that if it would trigger potential traffic impacts, I mean, I know
Right,
you're
that's
touching
true.
all this stuff,
Yeah.
but it absolutely could. And
So
in one
maybe
sense,
we should
I
look for that.
think it should potentially
Yeah.
come in front of us to just address that potentially. It's something that, it's another one of those unknowns out there, so.
The one thing I have to say about traffic is, at our prime, we did much more coffee business than a Dunkin' Donuts. For years, they have tried to come in, and we wouldn't give them that opportunity. Now, with all the Dunkin' Donuts everywhere, they have certainly cut into the coffee business. So, traffic-wise, I know it's busier in town, and I know there's gonna be other things, but we've handled it previously.
Yeah, I'm not a businessman, but I'm not really sure how much more traffic you get, and you know, typically, like, if you're at a drive-through, yeah, sure, you get tons of people pulling off.
Yeah,
But if they have to get out of their car and walk in the building,
Is it
like,
the same? as-
like a lot of times the Dunkin' Donuts in a gas station, I just drive on by because it's like, oh, I have to get out of the car. It's annoying, right? So maybe they'll go to the next one anyway, I don't know. But just think.
Just something I was considering, but we'll find out the answer.
So yeah, so we'll, maybe next meeting we can talk about how the board plays into it, but
It's, I mean, something that you could consider is that have that carve out be subject to special permit, and then they'd have
Yeah,
to
right.
go period.
Yes.
well, so that's what I was thinking. If this was changed, that fast food is allowed as an accessory with approval, with a special permit approval, I think that would probably solve a lot.
Yeah, this needs to be a public hearing, and the public needs to know about it.
Because, I mean, maybe the town, I don't know, I would have to see, you know, we'd have to have a public hearing and see how the town felt. But, you know, if we were to adjust that to say accessory use is allowed with special permit, you know, then the special permit would come, that would be DRB, that would be come before the board. So maybe that's what, you know, it's as simple as that.
Right,
But up until then, we don't have that.
right.
So maybe that's what we can do.
As I recall, when that
Oh,
bylaw was
yeah.
written, Mary Chumo,
Yeah.
on Corn Road, there was a health benefit sort of thing written
Mhm.
into
Yeah.
Yeah, it
it
is.
Yeah.
before we start opening up the doors to ancillary health, fast food establishments
But-
and businesses.
It says that, but there's also that loophole. And I don't see it.
Yeah.
So somebody who, a franchise that was doing a lot of salads and a lot of healthier food would be allowed because that's, you know, that doesn't, you know, I mean,
No,
the unhealthy part of it is what's
No,
spelled out
but
here.
isn't that written into the bylaws?
It
There's
is.
some clause
Yes.
about health
Yeah,
benefits.
but the loophole's still there, and
Yeah.
the loophole
Yeah.
trumps that.
Okay.
That's more the justification for
Needs work.
I think we're way over on time. I mean, do you have something
Board
quick?
of Health would be involved if any food thing goes in there, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That was a possible date.
Yeah. Thanks for the clock wrap.
Are you all set with me? Have I thoroughly confused everybody after that?
Well,
I think that's very helpful.
I mean, I didn't know, you know, at least you put it's leaning towards it's allowed versus it's not allowed, so we kind of know the realm we're in.
It's not leaning towards, it's,
Yeah, so,
No,
yeah.
As it's written
allowed.
now, it is allowed.
Yeah.
I just needed to clarify that 50%
Yeah.
is,
And it sounds like we can interpret that.
yeah, with both a use or lot.
And then in the future, we can, if we want to say it's a, you know, allowed or not allowed, you know, or, you know, special permit, whatever, we can do that. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
have a good night.
Is Adam Check here? I don't see him. Maybe heard most of this and left. So we had somebody interested in potentially joining the planning board and associate, but he's not here, so. So John Ritchie is the acting associate, but he said if we can find somebody, that he'd be willing to step down because he's not here, he's never really here. He's just, yeah, he's from, well, so we couldn't make a decision tonight anyway because we have interest from another person who their letter's in the packet, Peter Driscoll? Nah, not sure I know him, maybe I do with face, but, anyway, there's another person interested anyway, so we couldn't make a final decision.
So does the board want me to contact him to see
Yeah.
if he can come into the next meeting?
Yeah, if you can come to the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because John Ritchie, you know, he can't do it. He's like out of the state more than he's in the state, so. All right, next up is Fred.
Hey, guys. This Fred?
Yeah, all Freds. All Freds come forward. All right. So farm reduction. So Erica just handed the numbers, so you end up usually doing the math.
I actually haven't seen the final numbers yet.
I literally just got it, so I haven't looked at it.
So, I mean, for Mike, I mean, Mark may know, I mean, you know, there's a bond for the road and they put in, they put it down to make sure that the town will approve and what it is, and as they they build it, we start to peel it off and then we readjust, the bond. So I don't know, you wanna talk about it?
Talk about?
Yeah.
All right. So we completed a bunch of work recently. We finished the pond 9C and 9D and completed the swales for both ponds. Well, we modified that swale like we talked about last time I was here.
Okay, so yeah, so we talked about that because you have that, so Harold wanted access.
That's a different issue.
Oh, that's a different issue?
That's a
Okay.
different issue.
Sorry.
Different pond and different issue.
Lots of ponds, lots of access, lots of
So,
swales.
because the grading had changed on
Yep.
lots 32 through 27.
So this is the swale we talked about in the back.
So where are we
Correct.
at? So can you- I always have to go back to.
Sorry.
Get my head wrapped
We
around.
are, I think right here.
Okay, all right, great, thank you.
So this is what we talked about, it's a different grading, so we changed what was required back here last time?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because of the grading changed and stuff like that, yes, yep.
Greg
okay.
had done some calculating.
Yeah, right.
Yes,
Right,
yeah.
just gotten it, so he was gonna have, well, basically have him review it. I think you've gone through it and worked things out, Greg, and this basically incorporates.
What was talked about, if you remember, was putting a stone check-in.
Yep, every,
steeper.
yep.
What it ended up being was, this portion ended up being flatter and having whatever amount of flow and stayed as a grass swale. This last 125 feet is a fully rip-wrapped.
Okay, so
swale.
there- you don't even need
We didn't put the check, the check-in would have been right about at the beginning of
Gotcha.
that drop. So the steepness, the combined
Yeah,
flow, so this is back to the original,
okay, so that's a rip-rap swale.
completely
Rip-rap
rip-wrapped to
swale,
the
okay.
details, and the rest was grass, and then the spur, there's a second swale, which is the
Which is
spur.
taking the other part, okay.
Which is taking this portion, this
Yeah.
goes this way, this goes this way, and this
Which
third, I'm not saying it's a third, but say a
Gotcha.
third, third,
Yeah.
and a third. And so that's, what has been built is this one, grass and
The
rip-wrap,
rip-rap, okay.
and this one hasn't been.
Okay, so everything's just kind of going, eventually getting into it?
Right, so on the bond, I said, do you have a copy of it? I said have it, as the swale's completed, almost down to the second last line.
Okay.
Okay,
So
Swale's
I,
completed.
that includes another swale on the other side, which we'll talk about. But then I added an amount to put in this grass swale.
Which is-
So I
okay.
said the swales are completed as originally
yep,
costed out,
okay,
if you want to call it. Then I added in
Because
the
we're
cost
about
of the swale.
60,000.
So that's what that means there.
So,
That line
so
item
this
of
number, what was this before?
63,000.
100? Oh, jeez.
And that was for this whole swale of riprap and the one behind going to 9D.
Yeah.
So there was two long, it was
oh, yeah, yep, yep,
it was
okay.
1,100 feet of swale, 700 of it being riprapped.
Okay.
And that was 63,000 and change. So that, instead of trying to, I just put a second line item as this new additional swale.
Right.
And this one completed, deducted it from
Okay.
the bond estimate.
So that's that one. What else?
And then on the rest of the estimate, you want me to?
Yeah,
talk?
yes, about that.
If you look under pond items, the second to last category, the outlet structure grades are in, so that got deducted, that was $5,000. The basin 9C and 9D have been completely loamed and seeded and rip-wrapped on the inlet discharge to it. Those were each 3,000 each. No, sorry. The outlet structures were 5,000, the others were 1,000 each, so it was a $7,000 completion. It was a $7,000 plus the $63,000,
So what was the original number? We don't have that.
160.
Yeah, the last number is
160?
160.
Even?
Did some change.
160, 260, I think?
285.
620.
I don't remember the number now.
I can tell you right here.
It might have been the 620.
Was 160, 620.
So there was a $5,000 for the outlet structures, $1,000 for basin 9C, and $1,000 for 9D.
Okay.
So that was 7,000 plus the 63 that we just mentioned.
Yep.
So roughly 70,000
Mhm.
was deducted by the added in 5,000. So
Okay.
it was a 65 deduction out of 160, which comes out to 95 and change, which just shows up on this one.
So who wrote, did you, Erica, you wrote the 5,000 and the 13 on here?
I did, yes. So that email you had were the outstanding items that the
Yep.
board discussed back last winter.
Yep.
I also added a couple of additional items that are sort of outstanding at this point that I would like the board to take into consideration. We do need additional funds for Fred Hanway's review, and then there are some outstanding invoices with the police department for their detail work, so.
We'll get to that. So going through this list, so this list was from, so removal of the old erosion control at the detention base. So that's all set then now? Number one?
What is, I'm
So
sorry?
This
all
list?
erosion controls at 90.
Oh, yes, that was one, right.
This one has been done.
Yep.
90 per,
Construction of the access pad at the cistern.
not done.
Not done.
Fire department's acceptance of the cistern? No.
Yes, they accepted it.
Oh, they accepted
They
it,
accepted
but,
it?
but it's not done? Oh,
Yeah.
fire,
Just
oh, the
the
actual
accept- just
cistern.
The cistern's been
They
accepted.
accepted.
This is the cistern that Harold wanted the access to, or no?
No, that's not 90. That's-
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, we'll get to that one. You
Anyway,
want to picture that?
yeah. Construction of the sail behind lots, construction of the sail behind lots.
It'll be a swell.
Oh, swale, what's that? Construction
I
of
know.
the sail. It's like, I have no clue what that means.
Yes, that's been done.
Okay, so that's that main swale, or,
no,
no,
that's the
that's a
other
different
one.
one, sorry, I just realized that's
That's behind lots, which one?
42A and
So
44A?
that's done.
That's done, okay.
Repair DMH 47.
It hasn't
No,
been
but
done.
we are raising those up. Well, we're gonna go over that with the Herald plan. And
What's wrong with the drain manhole?
it's got chip.
The top of the base
Oh,
of it,
right.
I forget, has a piece still chipped out of it. So it can be repaired with mortar.
Okay,
Or
so,
about structure.
So that's 5 and 6, so those aren't addressed.
What is 5?
5 is repair of DMH 47, and then 6 is remortar collars for DMH 47, 47,
Okay,
48.
yeah, but neither one is done.
There is a reason for that though, which is Harold's design. We're about to dig those structures up if that gets approved.
oh, they all need to be raised. Oh, is this within that area that we were talking about that we want to, okay, so that's,
But they
okay.
haven't been done this.
They have not been done, that's right.
Delivery slips of the detention basin sand to
That was
confirm.
done.
All set? Construct access drives to detention basin. It's
Not
9
done.
Sand, okay, so there's no access to it right now, or it's just not gravel?
Not finished.
Yeah,
It's passable by construction trucks and all this, and it isn't to grade, and we'll talk more about
Yeah,
that.
that's-
Okay, all right.
And it isn't finished surface either.
replacement of damaged granite curb and catch basin headers.
Not done.
No.
Installation of handicap ramps throughout the site.
Not done.
Installation of brick inverts and manholes.
Not done.
Okay. A lot more not done than done.
When we raise and dig up those based on this plan, we'll do the inverse at that time. And replace
The inverts and street manholes.
all the street manholes. I'm sorry. I thought
Not
it
just
was
these three, no.
Okay.
There is one other thing to add on there that I have in my head, and I forget, there's no catch basin traps on the catch basin.
No.
either.
The
Catch basin.
the
Gas
hoods,
traps,
the
right.
gas
hoods?
traps.
No,
Yeah,
no,
so
we're talking-
that's
this is
it.
the hoods that go over it, so you,
90 degree. The pipe, that connect to the pipes.
yeah. On any of them?
I don't believe on any.
Were they on the drawings too?
Oh, they're on
They're on the details,
Okay,
okay,
definitely
so
has
they
to
need to be,
yes.
okay.
So these overdue police details, that's for what, picked up by the bus? police details or trucks coming in?
Trucks coming in, but
Yeah.
I just found out about that yesterday when I met with Erica, so nobody.
So when there's a big truck coming in, a police officer comes and holds off traffic?
If we have to unload equipment, because load
Oh, at the
trucks
road.
can't get into the development.
Okay.
So we have to have a detail come in while we unload the equipment, but yesterday was the first I'd heard about that, so.
Okay. We'll talk about the rest of the stuff, but have there been any violations of the time? Like working late and stuff like that? No? So you guys are good on that?
You would have heard about it.
Huh?
You would have heard about it.
Yeah, sometimes they sneak in when they happen. So what do you feel like is important in this list? Do you feel like anything in this list should hold up bond reduction, or?
It's already part of the bond numbers.
No, it isn't. For instance, the inverts aren't,
The hoods,
the hoods aren't.
I would think the handicap ramps?
The only thing, the handicap ramps are,
They're included in this?
yeah, they're in the
Oh, yeah, right.
sidewalk quantities.
Yeah.
Okay, what you might be thinking of is adjust on drainage.
That's what I was
That's
thinking.
the separate,
Yep.
adjusting the frames and grades, that's the finished grade after. That's not an item to be done until final pavement. But anyways, inverts, the hoods, look at this, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And we did have some of the ones on the road done last time.
A couple of the inverts, you started doing them, and they put them in with stones, remember?
I think it was right when I started, so.
Yeah, but they only did, I don't know if it's just two of them, three of them,
Yeah.
right on that rise up from,
Yep.
if I remember correctly. Excuse me a second.
Alright, sorry.
Repairs to the granite headers are
Okay.
in there. Although there's only one, I think there's two now.
There are two.
Yeah, there are two. So there were a few items that should have been done by now. And,
I mean, we
whether
would
you want to have bond estimates put to them, for the most part, they were gonna get done, and haven't gotten done. They're still on. That's the thing that Andy says, why do I have this list? Because a year later, we still have the items.
I understand.
And, so they're there, as far as the reports go, is, they're not to be forgotten.
Do you have a price that you could put on them, or? No?
We got the inverts and the hoods. The hoods are, let's say about a couple hundred each to buy and install. The inverts are gonna probably be, if you had to get someone in, probably was 300 each to put them in.
So what would be the total number?
What, the number of manholes?
Alright.
Yeah, that's
What?
Page 5, right? Manholes?
500.
No, there's more than 5. On the road and on the, there's 4 in the, 3 in the along.
Yeah, sorry, it's
And
coming.
you've got, at each set of catch basins, you have them. Plus at the bends, there's probably got 5 sets of catch basins easily on that
On
road.
the road, yeah.
Then you have them at the bends, there's some other ones, bends in the pipe
Okay.
between catch basin. So you get 5, 8, you probably have close to at least 10 manholes. Like here is, without catch basins.
So you said that's 10 times 200?
That'd be about 300, just in the inverts.
10 times 300, so 3,000?
Yeah.
And that's
And
for
off the top of that's for the inverts, which is what the last one.
inverts, so, I mean, you could add that to this list then?
Yep.
3,000, so if we did this out, how would we do this?
And wait, that 3,000 didn't include the hoods though, right?
No, not yet.
Yeah,
So inverts, hoods,
yeah.
Those would be, probably gonna have, I'd say at least, let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, culvert anyways. You have 5, 6, 7, 8, I'm going the wrong way on it, no,
That's the cul-de-sac there.
8, 9, 10. 10 and 9 times 2 is 18 catch basins, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's one at the culvert is 6. There's one at the intersection is 7. There's another one at the first house is 8. I thought there's another one, maybe 9 sets, which is 18 catch basins.
And those are how much each?
It'd be 18 at 200.
200?
So I think
So 3,600? So do you think it's legitimate to add those on the list and take it off?
it's legitimate.
So 95, 245 plus 6,600?
Now, but the 5,000 and the 1,320 has also not been added.
Right. I don't know.
Oh, sorry, okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, we're not there yet. Yeah, calculator. You got the calculator, right?
Yeah. So if we add that, so it's 101, 845.
That's with the,
You
so
add,
that's before the other stuff.
That's just bond work.
Yeah, just bond work.
yeah, so 95, 245 plus 3,600 plus 3,000 is 101, 845.
So what's the difference?
So if we do 160, 620 minus, the difference now is 58.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, sorry.
We should have one more here.
One more what?
The first item. That's another broken.
Prepared.
So you're saying there should be two?
There are 2 anyways.
So add another 500?
So that'd be a total of 1,000?
Yeah. Well, no, add another 500 on what you just did.
Yeah, for a
Oh,
total
yeah,
of
yeah,
1,000.
that's, okay, so,
Could you you'll redo this list with these things?
345, 60. So the difference now is 58, 275.
58, what'd you say?
58, 275 is another difference.
Okay, can we have a second on that? Are you doing that too, Mark?
Yeah.
We said there were 10 manhole, 10 inverts, at 300.
I ended up at 3,600, so. Yeah, 10.
36 and 500 more, right?
Yep. So that's a 7,100 difference then.
Yeah, you had said 10 manholes and 18 catch basins.
Right. And that's my recollection of it, it might be off, but
Yep. Okay. So.
so next to 71 onto the 95, right?
Mhm.
345. Okay. The math good? Yeah.
So, so remind me, how do we deal with this with regard to?
So we get the refund, and then we take it out of the refund number, I believe, right?
That's correct.
Erica?
Yeah, so this,
That's correct.
Yeah.
However, the one thing I wanted to mention tonight is, I talked to the town accountant today with how much we have for surety on this project, and it doesn't match what I've been tracking in our spreadsheet.
Yeah, because
So at this point-
the other day was that you guys issued a check for a round amount when we were going through the books Monday night.
So at this point, I don't know that I feel comfortable releasing additional money. I think we need to look at this a little bit further. I mean, we just got this bond reduction tonight, so I think it's fair to maybe wait on this
Well,
and
what's the difference?
on what the, let's see,
I mean, do we have too little or too much?
we have too little. That's the issue.
Because we could subtract the difference out and hold it also.
So right now, in surety, we have $167,292. That's total for all phases.
292, you said?
Yes,
Okay.
for all phases. According to my spreadsheet for the first phase, based on a reduced amount for that initial phase back in August of 2014, we were holding $108,075.
Jeez, that's a $60,000 difference.
Yeah, there's a significant difference that I need to figure out.
All right, well, I was thinking if it was like a couple grand, we could just like
No, this is
hold it,
big.
but.
This is a big deal.
I mean, that's,
No, that's basically the full amount.
yeah, it's basically the full amount, so.
So when we did it in our books, we came up with like 13,800 on road C is the difference from what you should be holding to what you are.
I mean, that's too much of a discrepancy to deal with.
Because we did a bond reduction, and the bond reduction was 20,000, and it should have been divided by the number of lots, and you guys gave us a check for the full 20,000. So we found that when we were doing the spreadsheet on Monday, so Tuesday.
But that still doesn't account for 60,000, which
Yeah, and
is.
I actually went back to the accountant to figure out what amount was released for that reduction you're talking about. And it was, and they have a record of it, we only issued you like a little over 14,000. So I don't know why you guys
I don't know.
have a different amount than that.
I don't know either.
All right, well, I mean, I don't think we can act on if there's that huge difference.
Yeah, I think it needs to
I
be
mean,
said.
can you still add
These three, James's,
yeah,
three items, yes.
yeah, but I don't feel comfortable releasing
So,
money.
can you tell me your numbers again? What you say you're holding and what you should be holding?
Yeah, but I also just want to check them, so. So what we definitely have in the account right now is $167,292. That's for the entire project.
That's what you have?
The entire project, yes.
So then the 108 is the,
And from my understanding, but I want to go back and make sure I'm not missing anything for that first phase, I have $108,075.
I'm confused.
So we have more than,
So we have more than we're supposed to? I'm confused.
No,
What you're
that's for
saying.
the first phase, so
Yeah.
Mill Pond Road, we
Okay.
had a certain bond posted for that. Now we're in another phase, we're on Old Stone Circle, so we have additional money. And I thought we had $77,097.60.
So what's the discrepancy then?
I had to add those two numbers together.
Yeah.
77,097.60, right?
Yeah, because we agreed on that number, actually.
Yep, that's what I have on ours.
So I guess just how much money are we short by? I'm confused by all the numbers you're giving me. Just tell me how much we're short by.
Because you're actually holding 65,217, right? On that phase. Should be a difference of 14,000.
Okay. So based on my tracking spreadsheet, I thought we had $185,172.60. So the difference between that and the $167,292 is $17,880.60.
There's still a big.
So the 17,000 is what? I mean, what was your, you said you thought there was a difference, but
I
your.
thought it was 13.8 is what I had.
And you're saying there's like 70,000.
She's saying 17.
Right.
So you're thinking that we're ahead, or you're ahead 13 and she's
We're
thinking.
ahead. She's thinking we're ahead 17.
So, okay, so that's only a $4,000 difference that we disagree on.
That's correct.
It's better than 60.
Yes.
If we held out, I don't know. Erica, what, I mean, should we hold out, like, until that's cleared up, should we hold out a portion of that, or you think it's just better to, wait,
I
or?
mean, we can hold the full 17 out if we want.
I mean, we can do it that way. I just wanted to make sure that that number's accurate.
So if we take 17 off of the 58, is that what we would do?
Well, no, because you have to do the whole multiplier thing.
Yeah.
The 1.5
Okay.
times the 102, 395.
3, 5,
would be the total bond amount.
So 102,395 is with the inverse and
With
then,
345, right?
I had 102,
345,
345.
It looks like a nine.
I know, if you could look
Alright, so
at 4 and 9.
102,395.
I guess if we held off the discrepancy, you know, and didn't pay that out, because it sounds like we kind of agree.
Yeah, I mean,
Close.
we're close, we just
Close.
gotta figure it out.
So the rest of it's, what is it, you take 102, 345 times,
1.5,
yep. And then,
that's what the board does. Yeah,
yep, and then divide by
number of lots, and that gives you the per lot.
how many lots are there?
There are 23,
23 in that phase.
and that's probably where that other
Yeah, you're probably right.
4,000 comes from, because we've been using 25, but lots 23 and 24 actually aren't in that phase. Which, another thing we went over yesterday.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, contingent upon the accountants working out the numbers, I mean, the other thing, or does it have to come back to?
Well, that's why I'm trying to get something done here, because it sounds like we're, originally it sounded bad, but now it sounds like we're close, and it's just some minor discrepancy.
I mean, I'd have to go through the numbers, but because we were basing everything off 25 lots before,
Yeah.
the amount we were paying per lot was less, so
Yeah.
that you factored it with the 23 lots, right? When you came up with that 17?
No, that 17 is just the difference between what we're holding
Okay,
and what I thought we were holding.
all right.
Whereas she's saying 17, you're saying 13.
Yeah, because what I broke it down two ways, what you guys actually did when we got that check, but it sounded like that might not be right.
So I think,
And what we gonna
I think if we hold back an extra 17,000, you know, and then maybe it's a 4,000 correction, I think that, I mean, I'm okay with that. I don't know what the rest of the board is. What do you think?
I'd almost rather wait to get it cleared up and just have it, rather than trying to.
And then we're not fiddling with partial payments
It
and
just,
back how much from who, when, and, I mean, I think in fairness to Erica, you know, just give her a couple days to
I think.
get back into the swing
Yeah.
of things here, and,
I would feel comfortable with just trying to get it settled so that we've got it, you know, figured out, and then moving forward with it at our next meeting.
Right, I mean, I don't think that's unreasonable. We literally just got that bond reduction
Yeah,
today. I
today.
mean, none of us even had a chance to review it, so I think it's fair. Fred can revise it to include the inverts and the hoods, and that way we're looking at
And if you can
something.
get any of that stuff done in the meantime, you can, here a couple of days before.
Talk about this other plan, then I can start at least getting
Okay.
some of that stuff
Yeah.
done.
All right, so I guess we're gonna do a no action, clear up that amount of money, and add what we talked about adding onto this.
But I'm not gonna, well, let's talk about this in a second, and when I'm gonna do this, because it sounds like you might wanna not have all this on here, so I'm not gonna do this tomorrow, because we might be
Right.
You're gonna have some other stuff done in a couple weeks.
See
All right,
what we're shooting for a date.
Yeah, so with the uncertainty, I mean, sorry, we're gonna move on to the next item, and we'll clear that up.
So I guess the next thing was the modification to the access drive from Old Stone Circle to the Kitchen Pond 9D.
So this is what I've been talking about.
Yeah.
you were making face when you.
The original subdivision plan didn't include any of the grading or the homes or anything like that, so they had showed the grading for the basin and obviously the road, and then they showed an access drive graded through here. Basically, there was a detail on the plan that showed how it would be constructed. It said the max grade would be 12%. So there's no standard in the bylaws or regulations, but the detail in the approved plan said 12%. And there also was a note there that, you know, it can be subject to change due to when the lots are finally graded, but it still had that max 12. So the existing grades going through are 12%. So the fact that we're looking at trying to get more cover and basically bring up the grading for these homes to kind of tie them into the road, where it was already maxed at 12, you know, any modification we do are going to be greater than 12. So at the last meeting, we didn't have a plan or anything, but they had started grading this. Fred and I had looked at it prior to the last meeting. We obviously got Harold involved. He's going to be, as DPW, he's the one that's going to be in charge of having to get in there and do the work. He was comfortable with the grades that we had, which we had a rough level shot, a little more than 14% slope coming through here. His concern was, you know,
It's a little better than 14 coming through the steepest part here, but once you get down, it was steeper getting into the basin, which we weren't looking to modify. So last meeting, we discussed extending that grading into the pond, and we talked about it being minor in nature and not needing to reevaluate the drainage and whatnot. And at the time, I believe it was Dave, really wanted to leave it open and take a look at the plan and have Fred look at it, and Harold.
Because
So-
you're taking up volume, is what you're saying.
A little bit,
Slightly,
yeah.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
But really even just the grading for the homes and everything.
Yeah.
So we obviously prepared this plan, which shows the proposed homes, it shows the driveways, and it showed the grading, which basically we had shown this to represent what was shot in the field. We actually went out
Yeah.
and showed what they had built. Fred had looked at it, he had talked with Harold. It was a little better than 14%, we kind of went around and around. Ultimately, Harold, to make some decision on it, said the max we can do is 14%. So the latest modification here is we've graded this to be no steeper than 14%, and we've kind of renoted that on this detail, which is similar to the one on the approved plans at 12%. And this
I think this
includes...
detail is just for detention basin.
Yes, just for this one basin, doesn't change anything in the subdivision. This also includes the updated rims and inverts,
Right.
which we were talking about how they're gonna have to come up.
And so Harold's happy with this access now?
Yes.
And how many feet again is it, are those being raised up?
About 3 feet, a little over 2, and this one pretty much getting near, near what it was before. One thing that had happened, all fairness to the whole design, this lot, if I remember correctly, was about this wide before on the original plans. So remember, all lots got changed over time.
Yeah.
Things changed and made this house much
This is so they
better
weren't
here.
staggered, right?
Well,
It actually was completely different, just
It was,
because we
yeah.
talked about, it. There was a narrow neck that kind of came down. and had-
Right, there would be a house in the back.
Right.
Yeah,
But
what we
this
tried to
house
do
was
is-
over here though, this house lot.
Yeah, so what we tried to do is pull all the homes, instead of having a house behind a house, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I'm saying things got changed, which now affects.
Yeah, we weren't saying the design was wrong before, and
No,
that's what.
no.
Just
Detail
wanted to
actually
prove it.
But
accommodated.
it worked the way it was
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, yeah.
And now it's, the house, this could go from here to here in one grade. Now it had to stay
Flat, pretty much.
more
Yeah.
definitive to making the house work.
So
So
she
is-
did it a little bit anyway, I mean, obviously,
Right.
we've only changed it now 2%.
Yeah, so is Harold good with this?
Yes.
He's all set.
Yeah.
And
I talked to
And the
him today.
access to getting into the basin, he's good with that?
So
Yes.
this is- we have to,
Now he says he can get in there.
we have to
so
vote to approve this, or what do we do?
Accept the
Yeah,
modification.
we just
Yeah.
accept the modification, okay.
It has been reviewed by myself and Harold
Okay,
accepts the 14%, as Brandon just said.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, you need a motion?
Yep.
I can I see that? I can make a motion to approve the basin access modification plan for Old Stone Circle Road C dated June 10th, 2016,
Into detention on
sorry.
9D.
into detention pond 90 and actually revised on June 22nd, 2016.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And you have that now, right, Erica? The
I do
second?
have
Yeah.
All right, so what are we on, lot releases?
Yeah, we were kind of hoping on that bond reduction to help with the cost
Oh,
of these
the
lot
number.
releases, but there's a couple that I absolutely have to have.
So we want to reduce this then? Did you want to reduce this number, you saying?
Probably, yeah. I have to get 38 and 47. We were issued a foundation only permit and somehow didn't. get a
38
lot
and
of release.
47B?
Yep, that's correct.
Do you have a,
Yeah, I got forms for all of them.
do you have the drawing, the placement of them and the overall design? Just the overall map, so we can see where they are?
Where they are?
I have,
So this is
this
in
may
where?
not be,
So, 30
Okay, so we're on the same spot.
down here and 47 is the one with the fire cistern in front of it, right here.
Okay.
I have two lots that we wanted to do spec models on, lots 25 and 26. And I wasn't sure, do we do releases on those, Erica? The spec homes, the models?
I think I remember no, right?
No.
Yeah.
We don't need to do the numbers,
No.
okay.
Wait, what is it, you can have, what is it,
They're
floating
not for
three-room?
sale, they're just for model homes.
They're for model homes, yeah. And then I have 1, 2, 3.
When you wanna sell, when it's no longer the model, when you wanna sell it, then we release
Then,
it.
yeah.
Then we have to do the release, right? Okay. I have, including 38 and 47, I have 7 lots that are sold, but we're waiting on septic design to get permits, but I need to get the releases to do those.
Just say that again, so 38, 47?
Lots 33, 35, 36, 38, 43, and 47.
38, you said that twice. 38 was in the batch that you need.
38 and 47 are within those, right?
Yeah.
Within
Oh,
those,
okay.
okay.
Yep.
So what, so these, you need, you're saying you're selling the lots? What did you just
We
say?
have them under agreement. People want
Okay.
us to start building houses on them,
Okay.
so I need to do those.
7 lots or 6 lots?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6, okay, that's what I have. That's what I said.
I just one number if you have.
33, 35, 36, 38,
43.
43, 47.
That's correct.
Okay,
And then 25, 26 are for the models.
Yeah.
but we don't need those for now.
Here.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure about that.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, yeah, so you'll have to put the bond at the higher number, right?
Yeah,
That's how it works.
yep. Is it possible to approve them and then after the next meeting, if the bond gets reduced, we can settle up for them then, except for the first 2 that I need to start building on right away? Like approve the releases and
So
then,
you're saying that you wouldn't actually post any surety until you got that bond reduction? Because
Except
you would
for-
be taking it out of that bond reduction?
yeah, except for 38 and 47, which I'll have to bring in a check for this week.
So what's the point of releasing them then, if you're not gonna do anything on them anyway?
I guess they'd be waiting till the next meeting anyway, so just 38, 47 for tonight.
Right? Am I wrong? I mean, they'd just be hanging there anyway, and we'd be,
Yeah, I guess if we have to do it at the next meeting, I have to.
Well, so the lot releases for those lots, it would be contingent upon him posting the surety, which would come from the bond reduction, right?
Well,
That's kind of
for
what you
those
were
2
asking
lots,
for?
I can probably bring a check in for them.
Not for those 2 lots, but the other ones you're
Yeah, the
asking
other ones,
for.
we're gonna see what came out of the bond and what we had to come up with,
Mhm.
other than what was in the bond.
Right, okay.
so we're just releasing 38 and 47 at the current.
Yeah,
Bond.
because the next meeting's in 2 weeks.
Oh, we actually haven't decided that.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's a
We
summer
can't promise
schedule.
you, but I mean, if you're saying you'll be on the agenda, I mean, I don't know.
I definitely have to be on the agenda because it's.
Well, I mean, so let's look at this.
I don't think we'll be having it July 6th,
So
but,
Wednesday the 6th.
actually, no, it would have been July 13th. Well, it's the week of 4th of July, I think it was.
Oh, the 6th, yeah. The 20, well, we wouldn't have it that one anyway.
Yeah, no, it would
Typically, it would be the
it'd be the
13th.
13th, that's what it would normally be.
Mike can't be there, but it looks like we have numbers otherwise. So, I mean, you'll be on the agenda. I don't know what else will be on. So we'll probably have one on the 13th. And you see any reason or why we
Yeah, I
would?
think that works.
Is that okay with you guys?
It's gonna have to be, right?
I mean, well, it's up to you.
I'm not trying to be a jerk, I'm just saying, it's just,
No, well, I mean-
it is where we are, we gotta
You
figure it
could
out.
pay the higher price if you want.
So yeah, we'll just do those 2 for tonight,
Okay.
and then figure out the accounting by the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so, we have a motion on that? We have a motion personally.
Sure, I'll
38 and 47.
make a motion to approve lots 38 and 47B. Is there anything else?
Release.
Is it 38 or 38?
This just says 38.
Yeah, I know, yeah, I'm just,
38, A,
Not 38B, says, this one says 38B.
okay, so 38B.
So.
What says 30B? Oh, the actual
This-
paperwork.
Yeah, it says 38B on
Oh.
Old Stone Circle,
See it?
Bolton, Mass, as shown on the.
Well, so, where's 30, so this is 38A, but it changed to
Well,
B
this
when...
is an old.
That's-
Yeah, it changed to B when you did, when you...
Yeah, this is an old.
Yeah, okay, cool.
And
Same general area.
And 47B.
Okay, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes.
So,
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
I'll give that to you.
So we all sign this, Erica?
The lot releases?
Yeah.
No, because it needs to be notarized, so typically what we do in the past, we have done in the past is we have the chair come in and he signs it with Linda.
Okay. Can Dave do it, or do I have, can Dave do it, or just, do I have to come
No,
in?
no, but Dave can do it.
Okay. So we don't have to do anything with this then? We don't
Not
sign
at
this
the
now?
moment, no, but I'll get you the signed copies,
Okay.
as soon as I can.
All right.
Okay. The rise driveway plan for lot 38. Is that was that? No,
Driveway plan for
for lot 38?
Oh, that issue, I think, was just, there was
conservation.
they were unclear, so
Oh,
the issue is it's a shared driveway. So the way that the bylaws are is a single, and they allow a shared, which is up to 2 driveways.
Right.
And it basically gets handled in the driveway permit
Yeah,
application.
yeah.
Once you go from 3 to 5,
Yeah,
it's a special permit.
Yeah,
So I think when Fred went in to pull a building permit, because it was a shared driveway, there was a question of whether or not it had to come to the board, which, you know.
shared?
So typically, no,
No.
typically I just review the driveway application
Okay.
and sign off on it, but, obviously,
Only if it's
the
3.
board can review it if they want.
3 or more is common, right? Or is it 4 is common?
It's 3 or more.
3 or more.
3 to 5, 3 to 5.
And so it's just 2?
yeah, it's just
You
2.
can't have more than 5?
Nobody called.
I think my driveway had 6.
Uh-oh.
Before the bylaw.
It could be, yeah, it could be.
Nobody
Looks
called.
like somebody's losing their driveway.
I'm at the end too.
Nobody felt answering while Erica wasn't around, so. that's
I'm
why it
okay
was
with
on
not
there.
reviewing it.
That's fine, yeah, I'm fine. We don't need to vote or anything.
Yeah.
Access road review, that was what we talked about,
And swale modification plan.
and we already did that, yeah. So I think we're good, right? Anything
Yeah.
else?
Nope, that's it.
So you're gonna adjust that?
But, I'm gonna wait.
Yep.
Okay.
Is there anything else you said? Actually, I had one thing I wanted to say. I know that you said later in the year you're gonna start blasting, and I know a couple of neighbors in the area, and I don't know if we have, it would be nice to set up some type of notification plan
Okay, because.
for the neighbors.
It's far enough away from the abutters that it doesn't require notification.
I don't know. I mean,
According to the blasting company, they're,
all right,
they said
well,
that according to.
I'm just kind of thinking like neighborly thing. Because actually, the particular person I'm thinking of, she has like this glass collection, all these things on the wall, and she'd like to like take them off the wall if
Okay.
she knows she's gonna be blasting.
Absolutely.
So I'm saying, as a friendly neighbor, it would be nice if,
If you want to give me her contact information, I'd be happy to contact her.
yeah, maybe we could set up some type of email, like, because I know, like, for instance, I'm on the west side of town, and like Devon's has like a blasting notification, and they're 3 miles away, and when they do it, I mean, you probably know.
Yep, can hear it.
I mean, not only can
Oh.
you feel it.
Feel it, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, I mean, and I don't know how comparative, mortar 3 miles away versus dynamite,
I don't think
I
it's
don't
going to
know,
be
1,000 yards.
comparable, but we can definitely notify.
It's not gonna be comparable, but there's gonna be a lot of it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you have to blast a lot of
We have
material out of
2
there.
major cuts, one's a 30-foot cut, one's a 20-foot cut, and the rest is minor, so.
So all I'm saying is, seeing that, just to keep the neighbors happy, and I know they had the big complaint, it'd be nice, just, if it wasn't random.
Okay, yeah.
If you could give a day or 2 notice, or,
have
I don't
no
know.
problem with that.
Yeah.
It's easy.
So I don't know how, is that like end of the summer, fall?
Hoping next month.
Okay, so it'd be nice if we could, set up like some type of, weekly kind of rough plan. I mean,
Sure.
would you know to the day when you're doing it? Maybe you wouldn't know the
I'll
time,
know
but
2
you
weeks ahead of time.
Huh?
I'll know 2 weeks before we start.
So that would be awesome if you could give us that information and we can
Yeah.
disperse it somehow.
10 days.
Probably, with, maybe some sandwich boards along the road,
Something.
something like that, just to,
Yeah.
let people, and
Well, if you give us the information, we can even put it on the website, as like an announcement or something. Right?
and we can sandwich boards, people driving by are
Yeah.
gonna know,
Yeah,
whereas they have to go to the website to,
true.
yeah.
Some type of mechanism is all I'm
Yeah.
asking for.
Yeah.
And if you, like, so it sounds like, so it's some type of licensed thing where you have to set a day where you're gonna do it anyway, right?
Yeah, main drilling and blasting is the one that's gonna be doing it all.
But I mean, they have some type of paperwork has to be filed saying on this day I'm blasting, or no?
I'm not sure.
Oh, I don't know,
I
okay.
thought they had to notify the fire departments?
I'm sure there is, yeah.
Sure,
I'm
yeah.
sure there's a bunch.
So I'm just asking to extend that to the neighbors somehow, and, maybe, maybe we could, whether it's the website or a sandwich board or whatever, and that would be the nice neighborly thing to do. Especially for the woman with the glass collection.
Yeah, I'm just saying that everybody drives by, not everybody
Yeah.
goes on the website.
So I have another question that I already know the answer to, but I gotta ask. I've asked to ask. Saturdays, in the areas that are remote and not near abutters, is it possible to be doing any kind of site work?
I don't think so,
Request
right?
permission?
You can request permission.
Yeah, you can't just do it, you can request permission.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, you can always request.
We can add it to the next agenda. You just need to let me know what dates you'll be working and where, and then the board can make their decision.
Okay.
And what times?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be crushing, it wouldn't be loud stuff, but, small stuff.
Your small stuff and your butters small stuff are,
Well, I'd be on the end of the cul-de-sac, way away from the butters, like, down here. But the open space, so.
Yeah, just add that on.
Yeah, I need that information sooner rather than later, because as part of that process, we do notify the abutters so that they can attend. That's how we've done it in the past.
All right, great. Is that it?
Email request, is that all you want?
For the Saturday construction? Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, Fred. Is there money for Fred in the account without doing that bond reduction, or?
Not right now, no.
Yeah. Sorry, Fred.
Yeah, we had a bunch of stuff factored in there. We
Yeah.
had Fred, police,
Yeah.
there's something else. We had stuff factored in to come out of the bond
Yeah.
tonight.
So Fred Kuhn, since I don't have sufficient funds right now, I probably will be sending you a request for that money. And I'll probably need that before this next bond reduction, just because obviously I need to pay Fred, so.
Okay.
Typically, I like to keep.
Money.
Do it because I enjoy meeting, seeing you. Not you, I enjoy meeting Andy over.
Yeah, Andy.
Yeah, nobody.
Thanks, Fred.
Thanks.
Okay,
Go see Larry.
thanks.
Thank you.
My guy here.
Martha?
Yeah, Mr. Vice Chairman, I was wondering if I ask you a question before Bradford leaves.
On the record, or just?
Yeah, it's just about 147 Long Hill. There was a tree that was sacrificed
Oh,
for
yeah, yeah.
sightlines.
Yep. Is that Brandon, though?
Brendan, I'm sorry.
Oh, but I'm saying.
No, but I mean, he remembers, it's right there
Yeah.
opposite Andy.
Yeah, I know the tree.
They went to cut it down and they found out they needed a crane. Well, they got rid of the first 3 stories, but when is that gonna be removed? I mean, the whole idea was sightlines.
The trunks just sitting there.
Yeah, well,
yeah,
trunk,
it
it's
goes up just
That
under
should
the
have
wires,
yours.
yeah.
Yeah, give or take, yeah.
that should, they should be notified, should be taken down, because it just reminds people of the beautiful tree that was sacrificed for sightlines, and now you still can't see.
Yeah,
Can you
I
send
can
an
reach
email?
out, I can reach out to the developer and see what his timeline is, and I can talk to Mark Case about it too, to see what.
Yeah, the thing is, they've been doing a lot of cutting all around town, and stumps like that are all over. And, you know, Don's trying to get tree warden to get rid of all the logs they've dropped.
Maybe they want
On
to
the side of the
attach, maybe they
road.
want to attach a wire to hold up an electrical pole to it.
No, they've got a new pole and a big brace up, just behind where the tree is.
You know what your street looks like, Mark.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Eric, are you gonna send an email on that?
Thank you.
It's a well placed to match.
All right. Were we gonna talk about, meeting
Schedule.
schedule? So I think we're good for the 13th.
Yes, so July 13th, and if I remember correctly, we typically, July and August, we just do one a month.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I don't know if we always just said, you know, book them and then if it doesn't look like anything's on, we'll take off, or I don't know how you want to work it.
Do it either way. We
And
can.
what does it look like, and do you see anything coming down?
I don't, I mean, there's the potential for that gas station,
Yeah,
for a special permit application.
Yep.
Obviously, Century Mill is gonna come before us at the next meeting.
well, so if we just schedule, like, say, the second Wednesday of July and August, oh, what's the second
Yeah,
Wednesday?
it'd be August 10th.
Yeah,
You
why-
missed both of them.
I may be around for that one.
Yeah.
yeah, why don't we do that second Wednesday of each month, and then, you
If
know, when
we add on, right?
we can always add a second meeting if we need to.
Yeah, and there's no
Find
public
out.
hearings
Yeah,
coming,
and-
so.
Yeah,
And I think it would be, I mean, you post this, right? So
we do.
So that people will know, okay, we're having a hearing July 13th, we're having a hearing August 10th, but they'll see we're not necessarily having
Right.
other ones, so
That's true.
hopefully.
Get 'em
And then,
published.
starting in September, we would, I'm assuming, start September 14th, and then that's September 14th and 28th would be our normal schedule.
And I'll have that schedule set up for our August meeting so you can confirm it.
Yeah, well, I mean, so if I look at the fourth Wednesday of each month, then Dave can't make it, so, I mean, he is the chairman. So I guess the second makes more sense. Sorry, Mike.
No, that's fine. I may be able to make the August one, but I probably won't be around for the July one.
Yeah, that's fine.
Which, okay, so, all right, so here's August 10th, and then we run the third, okay, so I can get this.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Yeah, Dave would be out the fourth Wednesday of each month,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I guess we can't do that.
Well, and we've already said July 13th.
Right, so then it would be 2
I
months in
wanna-
between.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's do that, and then if we need to add either one because something pressing comes up. Have you heard anything from Global Partners?
Right.
Quiet. Have you? is
I'm
there
only,
any-
well, this is only my second day back, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, so how are you doing?
Good.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say thank you for the guests.
Oh, yeah, no, that was
So nice of you guys.
I picked it all out, right?
That's right. You did a great job.
I actually sent you a thank you card, but I don't think.
Yeah, no, actually, we got
I
it.
don't think you did get it.
Yeah,
Okay.
when I came to the selectmen meeting, Linda gave it to me. I forgot, I meant to bring it, but I'll.
Oh, that's okay.
She said thank you, they were very nice. Yeah,
So how's he doing?
He's good.
Yeah.
He's good. Yeah, he's 3 months now.
Yeah.
He's getting better.
Is he-
Oh, I should show you pictures after.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
so is there anything else, like,
The
that
only
you
other
see
thing,
coming?
you know, we'll do it at the next meeting. I need your signatures for the registry of deeds.
Okay,
But since David's not here and we
Yeah.
don't know the associate member, then let's
Yeah.
just wait on
Yeah.
that.
but you don't see anything else?
Oh,
Any big plans, or,
I haven't, no, I mean, no one's told me of
and the
anything.
hoods are kind of on hold for construction, waiting to figure out, it seems like what's going on with this.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like they may submit something.
I bet they will. I bet they will.
They just wanted to get this cleared up, I think.
I think that was,
Yeah.
you know, obviously they weren't gonna move forward if this wasn't cleared,
Yeah,
but,
right,
So we should probably talk, we will be talking about that again at our next meeting then.
okay,
So.
all right. Motion to adjourn,
motion to adjourn?
The second.
all in favor?
Aye.